I can't look at you when I'm asleep. Little Nan Nan, you're too dishonest, you're making things difficult for me. Why can't you be more honest like this woman? Tsang pointed at the unconscious Zhao Ling and looked at Yao Nan in disappointment. Yao Nan wanted to cry but had no tears. How could he learn from this? If Ling had not fainted, how could she be so well behaved? That was why he was the most honest idiot. He should not have woken up. AI. How should I punish you? Tsang continued to talk to himself, completely ignoring Yao Nan's pale face. Please spare me this time. Wu, I won't dare to do it again. When Yao Nan heard that he was going to be punished, he was so scared that tears started streaming down his face. Really? Azure asked doubtfully. Yes, I won't dare to do it again. So this person. It's better to have self-awareness and not be too full of yourself. Once scratched by a cat, he would be afraid of Beastie for 10 years, no, for the rest of his life. After that, Tsang lay back on the bed and fell asleep. This time, regardless of whether he was snoring or not, Yao Nan didn't dare to run away with unrealistic hopes. At this moment, he still didn't know what the Yao family was facing. Otherwise, he would definitely regret bringing Tsang back to the Yao family. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret. After a night, the elders who were trapped in the ruins of the meeting hall were rescued by the guards who had rested for a while. Although they did not die, they were all injured to varying degrees. The most serious injury was the unlucky elder who had chased Tsang before. After they were rescued, they were placed in the open space in the courtyard. Seeing that no one would care about them after they were placed here, some of the elders roared, F***ck. Are you all blind? You don't even know how to send us back to our rooms? The guards looked at the angry elders with strange expressions and said carefully, Elders, I would like to send you back to your rooms, but you have to have a room. What do you mean? An elder asked as he sensed something was wrong. Other than the Grand Elder's courtyard, all the courtyards in the Yao family's main residence have collapsed into ruins. As expected, as soon as he said this, all the elders collectively fell into a daze. After a long while, an elder finally recovered and shouted with disbelief, This is. Hearing this, the guard didn't explain any further. He directly carried the elder on his back and circled around the Yao family's main residence. After returning, the elder was still in a daze. How is it? Did they really all collapse? Someone nudged the dumbfounded elder and asked anxiously. It collapsed. It all collapsed. Even the forbidden area in the back mountain has collapsed. After a long time, the dumbfounded elder finally responded. When the elders heard this, they didn't care about their injuries and limped towards the back of the mountain. When they arrived and saw the ruins, they couldn't help but cry out, Ancestor. You can't let anything happen to you. Don't worry, he'll be fine. At this time, a slightly familiar voice rang in their ears. All the elders suddenly looked up and saw a snow-white kitten the size of a palm, stepping on a few pink clouds and floating in the air. Seeing this cat, the elders didn't know how to react. They didn't blame the collapse of the Yao family on this cat. It was obvious that this cat would never have the guts to come to the Yao family and cause trouble. Moreover, it was brought back by the Supreme Elder. As the saying goes, you have to look at the owner before you beat a cat. He had to give the Grand Elder some face. At the thought of the Grand Elder, the elders stopped wailing and limped back to Yao Nan's residence. When they arrived at Yao Nan's courtyard, Tsang blocked the way of the elders and asked angrily, What are you guys doing? Little kitty, get out of the way. We want to see the Grand Elder. An elder said with a straight face. Little Nan Nan said that he doesn't want to see you guys. Tsang said this on his own, thinking that this guy would not dare to resist. Something big has happened to the Yao family, how could the Grand Elder not see us? What's the big deal? It's just a house that collapsed, it'll be fine if we just rebuild it. Besides, didn't the Yao family have a courtyard in the suburbs? That place didn't collapse, so you can live there. Unfortunately, a certain someone didn't appreciate it. The elder's neck was red as he roared, Little cat, are you going to move or not? I won't. If you want to see Little Nan Nan, you'll have to step over my dead body. If you can't cross it, you'll be the ones to die. Immediately, the weaker ones' small bodies started to tremble. In the past, Leng Ruoxue had caused the Yao family indelible damage. Hence, some of the Yao family elders present were afraid of being yelled at like that. After some discussion, they decided not to stoop to the level of a cat. In the next moment, they had already left Yao Nan's courtyard and retreated to the side courtyard in the suburbs as Tsang had wished. When they arrived at the courtyard, the elders had an emergency meeting. It was necessary to rebuild the main residence, but what about the funds? The elders looked at each other, their eyes filled with innocence. Yes. No funding. He was stretched to the elbow. Even a clever housewife cannot cook without rice. Just as all the elders were so worried that their hair was about to turn white, a sharp scream suddenly entered their ears. Arg! There's a rat. What followed was the sound of panicked footsteps. Hearing this, the elders hurriedly walked out of the room and were instantly dumbfounded. F***ck. Tens of thousands of black rats, the size of black calves, were gathered in every corner of the courtyard. Their fur was smooth and shiny, and their 2 rows of sharp teeth sent chills down everyone's spine. These rats were simply unorganized and undisciplined. They would bite wherever they caught, and their speed was so fast that it was impossible to guard against. As a matter of fact, without even looking, a corner of the house was missing, and it was creaking as if it was about to collapse. The elders had a bad feeling and tried to stop him. However, there were too many rats. They could guard against this but not the others. In less than an hour, the courtyard had become a meal for the rats. Previously, the sudden collapse of the Yao family's main house had already caused various degrees of injuries to many of the members. Now that the rat attack had appeared, it was like adding snow to the snow for the Yao family, and many of them were even more seriously injured. When the rats saw that there was nothing left to gnaw on in the Yao family's courtyard, the Rat King whistled and led away with his little brothers. After seeing this orderly scene, the Yao family elders were so angry that their noses almost became crooked. F***ck. Why was he so unorganized and undisciplined when he was gnawing at the Yao family's courtyard? Now that they were retreating, they all left. It was really infuriating. Now that the rats had retreated, they had no place to vent their anger. Elders, what should we do now? After a long time, the captain of the guards gathered his courage and asked. The atmosphere was so oppressive that they didn't even dare to breathe. What do we do? What do you think we should do? Go and set up the tent. Idiot. Do you even need to ask? One of the elders who was bitten by the rat shouted angrily. When the guard captain heard this, he quickly lowered his head and bitterly led his guards to set up the tent. The next day, the depressed elders of the Yao family received the news that the entire Yao family's divine territory was also suffering from a rat disaster. For a moment, the Yao family elders couldn't help but panic. But fortunately, they didn't forget to form a group to exterminate the rats. Unfortunately, by the time they were split into groups and arrived at their destination, the rats had already run away and moved to another place. As for the Yao family, they had been lagging behind in terms of news, and they were constantly busy dealing with the tales left behind by the rats. After staying in the Yao family's dilapidated main residence for a few more days, Tsang had had enough fun and planned to go home. Of course, he would not forget to bring his lovers, Yao Nan and Chao Ling, with him. In the past few days, Tsang had been working hard to sow discord between the two lovers, and it was very effective, so he was quite satisfied. When Yao Nan, who was being carried out of the courtyard, saw the ruins in front of him, he was completely dumbfounded. What's going on? Is it an enemy attack? It's not an enemy attack, don't worry. It's mainly because the quality of your house is too poor, and it hasn't been maintained for years, so it collapsed. Don't worry, the Yao family members are still alive and have already moved to another courtyard. Oh. Hearing Tsang's words, Yao Nan relaxed. However, he was still a little unhappy. No one had told him that such a big thing had happened to the Yao family. He really didn't put him, the grand elder, in his eyes. Not only that, he completely believed Azure's words, but he had no choice. Seeing that Yao Nan had calmed down, Tsang grinned and teleported back to Demon City with the 2 piles of trash in his hands. Nyo. As soon as they entered the house, Tsang shouted and threw Yao Nan and Chao Ling to the ground. Azure has returned. Hearing Tsang's voice, Leng Ruoxue quickly came out from her bracelet. The next second, a fluffy white ball flew into her arm. After being close to Tsang for a while, Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes turned to Yao Nan and Chao Ling. She asked in confusion, why did you bring them back? Bring him back for further training. Hee. However, Leng Ruoxue didn't really want to see a fellow who had designs on her man and beastie. She looked at Tsang with a look of disdain and said, take them away, don't let me see them. I see. Then I can only lock them up in the prison. Thinking about it, Tsang Kai said. Hearing this, Yao Nan immediately begged for mercy, don't. Uncle Cat, I will serve you well. Please don't put me in a cell, I will be scared. Girl, he said he'll be scared. You decide for yourself. Just like that, Yao Nan and Chao Ling settled down in Demon City. The two of them were extremely obedient. Not only did they not dare to cause any trouble, they even treated Uncle Long and the others like their ancestors. From time to time, they would entertain everyone. With their hard work, the two of them had a much better time in Demon City. However, this was the first time Yao Nan had seen Master Ning, and he couldn't utter a single word. At that time, he had thought that he had seen a ghost, but later he found out that it was the living master of the Ning family. Immediately, Yao Nan hated the Cao family. If it wasn't for the Cao family's instigation, saying that there was no one left in the Ning family, he wouldn't have had any ideas about the Ning family. Now that he had seen Master Ning, what else did he not understand? He had clearly been tricked, but even though he knew that he had been tricked, he did not dare to say anything and could only admit that he was unlucky. Although Yao Nan was a little silly at times, he was definitely not stupid. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become the most beloved descendant of the Yao family and become the supreme elder of the Yao family. On the contrary, he was very smart. Other than being a little lecherous, he was pretty tactful. It was just that he had been fooled by the Cao family this time, thinking that the Ning family had really been annihilated. And the Leng Ruoxue he had heard from the Cao family was just a little girl who relied on the Ning family's master to support her. Think about it, that little girl's backing was already dead, so how could a little girl turn the world upside down? However, it was because he had underestimated his enemy and was smitten by Leng Ruoxue's beauty that he thought that she was like most women in this world who needed to rely on men to survive. As a result, he had met with a tragedy. Sob. If he had known that the beast by the other party's side was so terrifying, he would not have dared to target Leng Ruoxue and the Ning family. But it was too late to say anything now. This was truly a mistake that would cause eternal hatred. Yao Nan was filled with regret. At this moment, he no longer saw Chao Ling as a beautiful woman. His heart was filled with hatred. As a result, Chao Ling's days were even worse. A few more days passed. The Qing family head had returned with Qing Xian. It was clear that the two of them had successfully completed their mission. After reporting the performance of each major faction to Leng Ruoxue and the others, the Qing family head put on an expression that was asking for praise, waiting for Leng Ruoxue to praise him. Leng Ruoxue glanced at the Qing clan's clan head and turned her head away on purpose. Shue, I've completed my mission. Yes. Nodding her head calmly, Leng Ruoxue maintained her nonchalant expression. Are there any rewards? The Cheng family head asked directly. No, I didn't. Leng Ruoxue said with certainty. Immediately, the Cheng family head's old face drooped. At this time, Master Ning, who couldn't stand it anymore, stepped forward and kicked Master Cheng's butt, and scolded him with a smile. Didn't Shui give you 100 spots? What kind of reward did he want? Besides, you didn't even get a piece of the Ning family's territory, and you still have the nerve to ask for a reward? Too many forces are going. How can I have the nerve to fight for territory with some little guys? The Cheng family's head said, aggrieved. So you came back empty-handed? At least Senior Tsang brought a gift? Shui was the same. You didn't take anything, how could you? Don't you feel ashamed? Master Ning said with a look of disdain. Didn't I bring back a lot of information? Isn't that enough? The Cheng family head reminded. Since that information is a gift, then you are even less qualified to ask for a reward. Master Ning used Huang Shuren's tone. All right. I knew you would knock on the door. AI. Just take it as running an errand. The Cheng family head sighed helplessly. As they listened to the two old men's meaningless conversation, Leng Ruoxue and the rest were the ones who felt helpless. On the other side, after an elder of the Yao family who had gained a huge advantage returned to his hometown in high spirits, he discovered that the entire Yao family's divine realm looked as if it had been robbed by bandits. It was in tatters. Instantly, the elder's beautiful face paled and he hurriedly brought the people around him back. When he got home, he was completely dumbfounded. The Yao family. How did the Yao family become like this? Damn it. Who did this? More importantly, where did the Yao family go? Ancestor. Wu, ancestor. The Yao family elder, who was out of his wits, sat on the ground and wailed. This scene was really too tragic. Just as he was crying bitterly, the ground suddenly shook. Then, the ground in front of the elder caved in, giving him a shock. Elder Chu, don't cry anymore. You're making the ground collapse. Get lost. F***CK. Why am I the one who collapsed from crying? What's going on? At the same time, a roar came from underground. When Elder Chu heard this, he hurriedly jumped down along with the collapse. Old ancestor, you've come out of seclusion. What is this? Is it an earthquake? In fact, when Song destroyed the Yao family's main residence, he had used his divine power to protect the place where the Yao family's head was in seclusion, not allowing him to be affected in any way. However, without the protection of Song's divine power, the collapse of the ground just happened to hit him, so he was in a tragedy. Hearing the old ancestor's question, Elder Chu was bewildered and asked, Ancestor, I don't know. How could you not know? I just came back from outside. Since you don't know, then call someone who knows over. I want to ask him. Master, the Yao family has all disappeared. Disappeared? Where did he go? The Yao ancestor, I didn't see a single Yao family member when I came back. The Yao family head was still skeptical about these words. When he reached the ground, he was dumbfounded. How did this happen? Where did the Yao family go? Who did this? The Yao family head was furious, his face and neck red with anger. Then, he searched with his divine sense and finally found traces of the Yao family. Follow me. The Yao family head said to Elder Chu. The message teleported to the corner of the Yao family's landing point. The head of the Yao family shouted, What happened to the Yao family? Who did it? Hearing the voice of their ancestor, everyone in the Yao family was suddenly excited. However, their answers to the Yao family head were not quite the same. Some said they didn't know, while some said it was the Rat clan. Hearing all these answers, the head of the Yao family angrily cursed, Who did this? You tell me. He pointed at an elder and called out his name. Forefather, this matter is really hard to say. Our Yao family's main residence collapsed without any warning. As for the other places, it was indeed the doing of the hamster tribe. The elder who was called out carefully replied. It collapsed without any warning? This is impossible. The Yao family head didn't believe this. Otherwise, he would have lived all these years in vain. Ancestor, our main residence has been here for many years. At this time, an elder who was ranked at the bottom said in a low voice. The implication was just as Azure had said, it had been in disrepair for a long time. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he was immediately sent flying by a kick from the Yao family head. Even if you're broken, the main residence can't be broken. This is definitely man-made. Hearing Master Ning's words, the Yao family didn't dare to say anything. Who is it? Has anyone suspicious appeared in the Yao family's god domain recently? There are no suspicious people, but a cat came to our house recently. After it arrived, something happened to our Yao family. A cat? Where did this cat come from? The Grand Elder brought them back. He's out of seclusion. Yes, I am. Hearing this, the Yao family head didn't raise any suspicions. He only thought that Yao Nan had taken in a pet. After all, if it was any other beast, it might be the main culprit, but it was definitely not a cat. Thinking of the rats, the Yao family head led the Yao family members to seek revenge from the Rat clan in an aggressive manner. Who knew that after searching for several days and almost turning the entire divine realm upside down, they couldn't even find the shadow of the hamster tribe. Instantly, the Yao family members were somewhat discouraged. In particular, they still had to sleep on the streets every night, which made Elder Chu, who had been living in luxury, quite unaccustomed to it. After much consideration, Elder Chu finally mustered up his courage and suggested that old Grand Madam go to the Ning family's divine realm to stay for a short while. After hearing Elder Chu's suggestion, the Yao family head laughed before shouting, You're going to live in the Ning family's god domain? Do you think the Ning family's god domain belongs to my Yao family? It does belong to the Yao family now. At least half of it belongs to the Yao family. What did you just say? Can you explain it to me? The Yao family head grabbed Elder Chu by his collar and asked loudly. The Ning family. The Ning family has been exterminated by the Divine Master. The Ning family's divine realm has become a land without an owner. Therefore, our major forces have divided it up. Elder Chu stammered as he carefully reported. Old man Ning is dead? This is impossible. The Yao family head did not believe Elder Chu's words at all. At this time, the other elders also interrupted to confirm that something had indeed happened to the Ning family. However, the Yao family head still didn't believe him and asked again, what about Leng Ruoxue? She's also dead? Leng Ruoxue is still alive. Elder Chu hurriedly replied. She's still alive, so how could old man Ning be dead? Furthermore, didn't Leng Ruoxue say anything when you guys divided up the Ning family's god realm? The Yao family head continued to ask. No, she said that it's her sad place. She didn't want to see it to avoid thinking of her. Elder Chu repeated Leng Ruoxue's words. Idiot. Idiot. You've been tricked. Leng Ruoxue is using retreat to advance, trying to provoke you guys. You guys. Why did he have to provoke that she-devil? Isn't it enough to just obediently guard the Yao clan? When the Yao family head heard this, he roared in exasperation. How could he have such a stupid descendant? One had to know that he had never won a single time when he fought Leng Ruoxue. Was this not enough to warn the clan? Why did he have to provoke Leng Ruoxue? Is that woman really that cunning? Elder Chu was in slight disbelief. It was not that he did not believe the old grand madam's words, but he had always looked down on women. He even felt that the Ning family's master must have played a big role in Leng Ruoxue's previous actions of causing the Yao family to be in such a miserable state. Otherwise, he would not have supported the grand elder to hit them when they were down. It was because of this that he was skeptical of the old ancestor's words. That little girl isn't just cunning. She's terrifying. The Yao family head said with lingering fear. He didn't know what to do now. If he wasn't afraid of provoking Leng Ruoxue, he wouldn't have gone into closed-door cultivation for so long. But now, he still provoked her. The depressed Yao family head immediately inquired about the ins and outs of the matter, and after hearing it, he was even more remorseful. I'm finished. I'm finished. This time, he was entangled with Leng Ruoxue. Furthermore, after he found out from Elder Chu that the cat was originally Leng Ruoxue's pet and was forcefully taken by the Grand Elder, he even felt like killing himself. This aggro-pulling was really strong. Was Beastie by Leng Ruoxue's side that easy to get? Now, he could be sure that the Yao family's incident was definitely related to that cat. This way, he wouldn't have to seek revenge from the hamster clan. Leng Ruoxue must have been the one who instructed him to do so. The pitiful Leng Ruoxue had to take the blame for Tsang. However, as Tsang's master, there was no difference in pushing Tsang's actions onto Leng Ruoxue. After figuring out the cause and effect, Master Yao led a few important elders to Demon City. As soon as they arrived at the outskirts of Demon City, Azure had already appeared in front of the Yao family head with a smile. Ancestor, this is the cat. Elder Chu immediately pointed at Tsang and shouted. Little old man, you still recognize me? Tsang Shao said to Elder Chu. May I know who you are? The Yao family head was very polite. He couldn't tell the cat's strength. I'm Tsang. Long time no see, little fellow. Tsang raised his little paw and greeted Patriarch Yao. Upon hearing the other party say Tsang, the Yao family head's expression instantly turned ugly. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. So it was Senior Tsang who even dared to smash the Divine Lord's estate. Then it didn't matter if his house was smashed. At this moment, he was even more certain of the suspect. However, since it was Tsang Zhui who did it, he didn't dare to say anything. After all, the Yao family had brought this upon themselves. His only hope now was to get Yao Nan back. Of course, the prerequisite was that Leng Ruoxue and the others had to let bygones be bygones. The more he thought about it, the more aggrieved he felt. The Yao family had clearly suffered losses, so why did he still have to give in to Leng Ruoxue and the others? He was even afraid that they would hold a grudge against him. What was this? However, the Yao family was currently a vulnerable group, so he had no choice but to lower his stance. Although he felt aggrieved, after his expression changed for a moment, the Yao family head raised his smile and said, so it's Senior Tsang. It has indeed been a long time. I heard that you've been in closed-door cultivation. Azure asked kindly, as if he was truly concerned about a junior. Yes. The Yao family head nodded. Then why did you suddenly come out of seclusion? Although you're already a reverent god, you still have to cultivate your mental state. So, I really shouldn't have come out of seclusion so early. The Yao family head was silent. Would he say that he had been woken up by a piece of wood? Would he? Would he? After recollecting his emotions, the Yao family head smiled and said, I didn't want to come out of seclusion so soon, but I heard from my clansmen that there was a misunderstanding with Demon City. So, I immediately brought them here to apologize. After saying this, he immediately turned to Elder Chu and the others and said, hurry up and apologize to Senior Tsang. I'm sorry. The few elders said in unison. When Tsang heard this, he couldn't help but widen his eyes, his face blank. Did they do anything to let me down? The Yao family head knew that the other party was playing dumb, but he didn't know how to respond. Isn't Senior Tsang a Totoro? Elder Chu asked. That's what I used to look like. I can change into whatever I want. Azure smiled evilly. Upon hearing this, everyone, including the Yao family head, was depressed. The meaning of his words was clearly to warn them not to appear in front of Leng Ruoxue and the others. Otherwise, who would know which beast was Senior Tsang's transformation? Senior, can you invite us up for a seat? After half a minute of silence, the Yao family head spoke again. Of course you can, but I'm not sure how popular you guys are. Azure hesitated. Senior Azure. Azure, we promise not to cause any trouble. The Yao family head promised. Yes, yeah, I see. Then everyone, come home with me. When he arrived at the Leng family's main house, Master Yao saw Master Ning's figure in the garden. Garden. His heart suddenly turned cold. He thought to himself, sure enough, he was right. Right. This old man is still alive and kicking. AI. He was at a loss for what to do with the things his descendants had done. As soon as Elder Chu saw Master Ning, he was dumbfounded. He pointed at Master Ning and asked, You. Are you a human or a ghost? Your sister. You're the ghost. Even if you become a ghost, I'll still live well. The master of the Ning family roared, and then looked at Song Dao with a bitter face. Senior Azure, why did you bring these people up? They're here to apologize, but I don't think they've done anything wrong to me, so I'm thinking if they've done something wrong to you, so I brought them here. If there's anything you need to settle here, I'll be your judge. Azure said with great interest. Hearing this, Master Ning understood. Senior Tsang. So you just wanted to watch the fun. However, looking at Old Man Yao's devout expression, it was probably not a good show to watch. Master Ning knew why Master Yao had come in person, but he would never take the initiative. If there was anything to say, Old Man Yao had to speak first. The two of them had known each other for many years and understood each other quite well. Seeing that Master Ning did not say anything, Master Yao knew that he had to take the initiative. The Yao family was indeed in the wrong in this matter. In addition, he was extremely unwilling to provoke Leng Ruoxue, so he placed himself in a very proper position. After clearing his throat a few times, the Yao family head said in embarrassment, Old Man Ning, I know that my descendants are in the wrong. They shouldn't have taken advantage of me. I've brought the decision makers of this incident here and asked them to apologize to you. Give them another chance. Let's just forget about this, okay? Also, don't worry. The Ning family's god domain will still be the Ning family's. We, the Yao family, guarantee that we won't occupy it. Seeing that Master Ning was silent, Master Yao had to add. It doesn't matter. You've already taken it anyway, so don't shoot after the fact. After hearing this, the anger in the Yao family head's heart surged. At this moment, he really wanted to strangle his idiotic descendants to death. They were really a bunch of troublesome things. Why didn't they learn from the other 6 families in the 8 divine regions? One should know that the Yin family of the 8 great divine regions didn't even attend the meeting that the CAO family had called for. They had made their stand clear when they received the invitation. The family head wasn't present, so they couldn't make the decision. As for the clans that had come, they were like the cunning old man from the Cheng family. They didn't want the Ning family's territory at all. Only Elder Chu from the Yao family had foolishly taken away more than half of the territory. Now, he had to lower his head and apologize, and he had even provoked Demon City. More importantly, the current situation was quite unfavorable to the Yao family, because Old Man Ning didn't accept their apology at all. Old Man Ning, we've known each other for so many years, can't you give me some face? I gave you face, but your Yao family won't give me face? I don't know where your in-law found a member of the Ning family, but he insisted that I was dead and that the Ning family had been annihilated. He gathered all the forces to divide up the Ning family's divine realm. Tell me, how do you want me to give face to your Yao family? The master of the Ning family complained. Calm down, I will definitely give you an explanation for this matter. In fact, our Yao family has also been deceived by the CAO family, so even if you don't cause trouble for the CAO family, I won't let them off. Please believe me. The Yao family head said with a good temper. Trust you? Don't tell me you want to silence me. Master Ning looked at Master Yao suspicious. How is that possible? I've already asked clearly about this matter. The Yao family was indeed deceived by the CAO family, I swear on my character. Seeing that Master Ning didn't believe him, Master Yao couldn't help but be a little anxious. You want to swear an oath on your character? How much is your personality worth? Do you even have a personality? Master Ning was still disdainful. Old Man Ning, what do I have to do for you to believe me? I can't believe it. Take your descendants back. The Ning family's territory you want to leave is also yours. Take care, I won't see you out. Old Man Ning, don't be like this. Your sister. This is my home, I can do whatever I want. Godfather, give me some face. Let's see how the Yao family head is going to show his sincerity. Miss Leng, you've come at the right time. I'm very sincere in visiting you this time, so please give me a chance. I can give you a chance, but how does the Yao family head want to perform? After Leng Ruoxue appeared and pleaded for mercy on behalf of Master Yao, Master Ning was so angry that he returned to his room. Old Man Ning is really angry with me. If it was the Yao family head, he would also be angry. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. That's for sure. However, my Yao family has been cheated by the CAO family this time, so I will never let them off. As far as I know, the CAO family and you are in-laws. Leng Ruoxue reminded. Then we can't let them go. Not only did the CAO family deceive us, but they also used the Yao family's name to swindle people, ruining our reputation. So, I will never forgive them. When Leng Ruoxue heard this, she couldn't help but think, does your Yao family still have a reputation? However, with Tsang and Qing Ju around, she naturally knew that they were telling the truth. Otherwise, she wouldn't have pleaded for mercy on behalf of the Yao family head. If the Yao family wasn't so greedy, how could this have happened? It should be known that other than the Yao family, the other 6 divine domains had also sent people there, but they didn't care about this at all and were just there for show. Only the Yao family had been greedy for the Ning family's divine domain. However, this time, the Yao family head was rather sincere. He apologized non-stop and not only returned the Ning family's territory in the God realm, he even took the initiative to offer a lot of compensation. Of course, he did not dare to mention the rat problem in the Yao family's God realm to Leng Ruoxue. As such, Leng Ruoxue naturally could not be bothered to make a fuss about it. After receiving Leng Ruoxue's forgiveness, the Yao family head finally heaved a sigh of relief. That was really close. He believed that if he didn't personally make this trip, the Yao family in Demon City would probably fight to the death. Fortunately, there was still time. The Yao family head heaved a sigh of relief and brought up Yao Nan's matter, saying that he wanted to bring him back to the Yao family. When Leng Ruoxue heard this, she pointed at Tsang and said, Yao Nan is Tsang's, I can't make the decision. The Yao family head was stunned. How could it be Senior Tsang's? I can let him go with you. Seeing that the topic had changed to him, Azure took the initiative. Thank you, Senior Azure. The Yao family head didn't expect Senior Tsang to be so easy to talk to, and his heart immediately settled. However, when he saw Yao Nan, he realized that he had been too naive. The Yao Nan that the Yao family head had seen seemed to be mentally normal. His clothes were clean, and there were no wounds on his body. It was clear that he had not suffered any inhuman abuse, but for some reason, Yao Nan had refused to return home with the Yao family head. Nan, be good. Come home with father. After thinking for a moment, the Yao family head patiently coaxed him. I'm not going back, I want to stay here to serve Senior Tsang. Yao Nan carefully peeked at Tsang. He was really afraid that because of his father's arrival, Senior Tsang would vent his anger on him. At that time, wouldn't he have to suffer again? Moreover, it wasn't that he didn't want to go home with his father, but he didn't dare to. Although Senior Tsang had said that he could leave, according to his experience over the past few days, Senior Tsang was most likely just joking. Therefore, he couldn't take it seriously. If he really did, he would be miserable. It was because of the above reasons that he refused to leave. After trying to persuade him to no avail, the Yao family head could only leave with Elder Chu and the others. Before he left, he had specially asked Senior Tsang to teach Yao Nan a lesson if he did anything wrong. As a courtesy, Tsang had also given Chao Ling to the Yao family head. Chao Ling didn't want to leave either. She knew that since she was in the hands of the Yao family, she wouldn't have a good ending. At least she could keep her life here. However, Tsang wasn't as interested in her as Yao Nan, so he threw Chao Ling to the Yao family head without thinking. Dragging Chao Ling, Master Yao was depressed. Even though he had not been able to take Yao Nan away, he had at least resolved his conflict with Leng Ruoxue. He had not come in vain. After the head of the Yao family left, Tsang Kai looked at Yao Nan with a curious expression and asked with a smile, I really didn't expect that you and the Yao family's brat are actually father and son? We've been father and son for many years. Yao Nan replied uneasily. Upon hearing this, Uncle Long, who was watching from the side, couldn't help but burst into laughter. It was undeniable that Yao Nan had made a lot of fun of them, which was the main reason why they were reluctant to let him go. You're the eldest son of the Yao family head? Leng Ruoxue asked. Yup. Yao Nan nodded, not understanding why Leng Ruoxue would ask such a question. No wonder. Leng Ruoxue understood. The strong would usually favor the eldest. Otherwise, the Yao family head wouldn't have wanted to bring his son back even after Yao Nan had caused such a huge disaster. Even though part of it was to receive punishment, the main reason was probably because he was afraid that Yao Nan would suffer. She hadn't forgotten how the head of the Yao family had inspected Yao Nan from head to toe. Hearing Leng Ruoxue's, no wonder, Yao Nan still didn't understand. He looked at Leng Ruoxue in confusion. However, Leng Ruoxue stood up and returned to her room. Tsang naturally took Yao Nan away. Now, he couldn't leave this pistachios. After leaving Demon City, Patriarch Yao didn't return to the Yao family's divine realm. Instead, he went to the Cao family's territory. As such, the Cao family was naturally going to be in deep trouble. The head of the Cao family, who was Chao Ling's father, saw that his daughter had returned. Before he could say anything, he could feel the anger of the Yao family head. Although he had only seen the image of the Yao family head in the memory crystal, this did not affect his understanding of the Yao family head. When he saw the Yao family's head aggressively coming to his door, he was instantly terrified. Yao family head. The Cao family head stammered, unable to finish a complete sentence. Who told you to lie to the forces and say that the Ning family was completely annihilated? Grabbing Master Chao's neck, Master Yao questioned. No one. After struggling for a while, the Cao family head said with some difficulty. No one? Do you think I'll believe you? If no one had instructed you to do so, would you have dared to deceive so many forces? You even dare to play with our Yao family, you really have some guts. The Yao family head said angrily. He was really angry. He had only been in closed-door cultivation for a few decades, and some people thought that he was easy to bully. How dare he lie to the Yao family and make them hate him? He was unforgivable. Moreover, he had lived for so many years and had seen all kinds of people. Only a ghost would believe that someone as timid as Master Chao had not been instructed by someone. I really didn't, The CAO family head said stubbornly. No? Then I won't ask anymore, you can go to hell. The Yao family head said coldly. After saying that, he increased the strength of his hand. Cough, cough. No, let me go. Woo, I can't say it, I really can't say it. If I say it, the CAO family will be exterminated. The CAO family head, who was already suffocated by the Yao family head, coughed violently and hurriedly said, if you don't tell me, I'll destroy the CAO family right now. The Yao family head threatened. Woo. All right. I'll tell you. A man in black told me to do this. He's from the Divine Master's estate. The CAO family head said with a face full of fear. Is everything you said true? The Yao family head asked with uncertainty. Yao family head, I wouldn't dare to lie to you. Whether it's the Divine Lord's estate or the Yao family, our Chao family can't afford to offend either of them. Woo. Let me go. The CAO family head begged. I don't think you would dare to lie to me. The Yao family head loosened his grip and let go of the CAO family head. This was because Master Chao's answer was too shocking. He had never thought that everything was actually caused by the Divine Lord's estate. Just what was God Lord Fog Ripple trying to do? Was he trying to sow discord between them and Leng Ruoxue? She had to admit that she had succeeded. If he had not come out of seclusion, the hatred between the Yao family and Demon City would have deepened. However, he didn't want to pick a side at all. To him, the best strategy was to remain neutral and not offend either side. It was because of this that he let go of the CAO family, who might be the minions of Wuhan, and left with the Yao family. On the way back, Elder Chu and the others didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Even when they returned to the Yao family's divine realm, the Yao family's head had a long face. After much consideration, Master Yao still told Leng Ruoxue about this news. Leng Ruoxue did not expect that the CAO family was actually under Wu Jing's orders. No wonder the rumors were getting more and more outrageous. However, she was very curious. As the rumored female lead, what exactly was Wuhan's mood? It must feel unusual to be spreading gossip about me, right? In fact, these things were not directly instructed by Wu Xiao. After all, she was now fully focused on healing her injuries and did not have much energy to care about other things. But before this, Wu Xian had ordered that when they had nothing to do, they would find trouble with the Ning family. As a result, her black-clothed subordinates spared no effort to cause trouble. Although it wasn't their wish to have God Lord Mist Ripple as the female lead, the result was that they couldn't control the rumors. As a result, the black-robed men's subordinates decided to act ruthlessly and personally direct such a good show. However, it seemed that this act had failed. The next day, the news of the CAO family's extermination reached Leng Ruoxue and the others. At the same time, Leng Ruoxue also received a message from the Yao family head, our Yao clan didn't do this. Even though Master Yao's voice transmission sounded like he was trying to hide something, Leng Ruoxue still chose to believe him. She was going to kill him anyway, so it really didn't make a difference to her who did it. But even so, considering that the Yao family head had previously told her about the mastermind behind the CAO family, she still warned him, you guys be careful. After telling Demon Evildoer and Tsang what Master Yao had said, Tsang also nodded, it really wasn't the Yao clan's doing. What is this old man trying to do? Are you trying to get on our good side? Master Ning couldn't help but ask. After knowing that his death was the work of the God Lord's estate, his opinion of Master Yao had naturally decreased a lot. However, if he saw Master Yao again, he would still not give him a good face. Who asked them to live like this for so many years? Not necessarily. He probably doesn't want to offend us too much. As for the God Lord's estate, they also don't intend to offend them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have let the CAO family off. Leng Ruoxue analyzed. Neutral? That's not easy. If you're not careful, you might be crushed to pieces. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Uncle Long added. That's none of our business. However, as long as the Yao family doesn't side with Rimeice, I won't touch them. Leng Ruoxue made her stand clear. Even though she was ruthless to her enemies, she was not bloodthirsty. As a result, as long as the other party did not touch her forbidden lamella, she would not kill him under normal circumstances. Don't worry, that old man is very cunning. He knows what he wants and where his bottom line is. Therefore, unless he is forced to, he will not make any choice. Master Ning, who knew Master Yao quite well, laughed when he heard Shui Er's words. That's good. I just hope he doesn't stand on the wrong side. Leng Ruoxue laughed. In fact, how could the Yao family head have the mood to pick a side at this time? Just the matters of the Yao family alone were enough to make him dizzy. After compensating the Ning family with a lot of property, the Yao family's financial resources shrank sharply, to the point that it was a problem to build a main house that was exactly the same as before. Money was the biggest problem the Yao family was facing now. The Yao family head was busy raising money while Leng Ruoxue continued to refine the Hotian Chaos Divine Weapon. The men in black in fog had also stopped for a while. The entire god world seemed to be peaceful, but in reality, there was an undercurrent. However, other than the few experts at the top of the pyramid, the ordinary deities could not feel the inexplicable tension of the low pressure. As the saying goes, the ignorant are fearless. It seemed that this was indeed a wise saying. Only those who knew nothing could live happily. The days were as usual. The Qing clan's encampment in Demon City was also slowly being established. The 100 clansmen chosen by Qing Xian were all brought here. They had been informed of the various rules before coming to Demon City. As a result, they were as obedient as newborn beasts upon reaching Demon City. Qing Xian was quite satisfied with this. However, he didn't dare to tell these people that he had brought them here just in case, so that he could leave a trace of the Cheng family's bloodline. More than half of these 100 people were young children. This way, Uncle Long and the others had something to do. It was their responsibility to train new students. Cheng Xian couldn't ask for more when Uncle Long and the others volunteered to be the race's coach. After all, it wasn't easy to find a godly venerable level coach. Even in the Cheng family, he didn't dare to say that he could let the supreme divinity personally guide these little guys. Now, these little guys were in luck, and Cheng Xian was happy for them. With work to do, Uncle Long and the others were instantly full of energy again. This way, it was just hard on the little guys of the Cheng family. However, whether it was Cheng Xian or the head of the Cheng family, they were in favor of their child's suffering. After all, one could only rise above others by suffering. If he suffered a lot when he was young, he would definitely save a lot of effort when he grew up. Moreover, the personal guidance of the reverent god-level cultivators was also very beneficial to these little fellows. Uncle Long and the others were even more strict teachers. Even the Cheng family head, who had personally witnessed how they trained his own children, knew that he couldn't be as meticulous as them. You've worked hard. The Cheng family's head personally thanked Uncle Long and the others, his eyes glistening with tears. He was so touched. These people were so cute. However, Uncle Long and the others couldn't tell that he was touched. Uncle Long even joked, "Why are you crying? Didn't you just let your child suffer a little? It's not a big deal. Is it worth it?" I'm not feeling heartache, I'm just touched. Can't you guys tell?" Hearing this, the Cheng family head said dejectedly. The head of the Cheng family, who had been hit hard by Uncle Long, squatted in a corner and started drawing circles. 10 years later. Leng Ruoxue's weapon refining work was still ongoing. However, Cheng Wu and the rest had already come out of their closed-door cultivation. Of course, he did not want to come out of his closed-door cultivation, but he was kicked out of his bracelet by Qing Ju. Therefore, the posture of the large group of people coming out of their closed-door cultivation was quite beautiful. Other than Leng Qingtian and Leng Ruoxue, who had received special treatment from Qing Ju and had come out in a normal posture, the rest of the people had fallen from the sky with their limbs facing the sky and landed in the garden's pond. It could be said that too many people had fallen into this garden pond, including Uncle Long and the others. The result of this incident was that the small animals in the pond had once again suffered a psychological blow. They all went to the bottom of the water and did not dare to come out. Uncle Long and the others, who were sitting in the garden and chatting, were dumbfounded for a long time when they saw the people falling into the water. Finally, they came to their senses and looked at the wet people and asked, "Can you guys advance?" These people were already divine emperors when they were in seclusion. They had also been in their bracelets for so long, so their spiritual energy was already very abundant. Hence, Uncle Long had no doubt that they were kicked out by Green Vessel because they could advance. But looking at the expressions of these people, it didn't seem so. I'm still lacking a little state of mind. However, these little guys had a good state of mind and pure thoughts, so Uncle Long and the others had high hopes for them. Uncle Long and the others couldn't help but laugh out loud when they learned about their current situation and looked at their current appearance. "Uncle Long, are you done laughing?" "No, I didn't." Uncle Long and the others replied in unison, their laughter still loud and clear. Looking at the few old men who were laughing without any care for their image, Cheng Wu really wanted to squat in a corner and draw circles to curse them that they would not have any food to eat tonight. It was really too despicable. He actually laughed at them. In fact, these old men were just too bored. Now that they saw a little guy being kicked out of seclusion, they were naturally in a good mood. Especially when they saw the depressed expressions of these little guys, they laughed even more heartily. When they finally stopped laughing, Leng Ruoxue could not help but ask, "Uncle Long, where is Shui? Why don't I see her?" Although he was in seclusion, he still missed his sister the most. "Her. He's refining." Uncle Long replied in a mysterious manner. "Oh. Then I'll go find her." After a round of searching, he still could not find Leng Ruoxue, so he could only return to the garden. "Uncle Long, I can't find Shui. She built a temporary weapon forging room outside." Uncle Long was only halfway through his sentence when he heard a loud bang in the garden. He simply shut his mouth. What's that sound?" "Weapon refining explosion." "Arg. Shui. Where is Shui?" "The empty space outside." Uncle Long said calmly. As soon as he finished speaking, Leng Qingtian and the others rushed out of the door impatiently. In the end, they found Leng Ruoxue and the others in an empty space far away from the main residence. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue and the others were completely black. Only two pairs of clear, watery eyes were exceptionally clear. "Shui." Leng Qingtian called out softly. He did not dare to recognize her. Was this little black person his beautiful granddaughter? "Grandpa, you've come out of seclusion." The moment Leng Ruoxue saw Leng Qingtian, she immediately pounced towards him. Back then, her grandfather and the others had been in a hurry to enter seclusion, and she had not seen her grandfather for so long, so one could imagine how much she missed him. Leng Qingtian hugged his precious granddaughter tightly, not caring about Leng Ruoxue's dirty appearance at all. The two of them were just short of hugging each other and crying. "Shui, did you not see Big Brother?" Leng Ruoxue, who had been standing by the side for a while, saw that Shui only cared about her grandfather and her heart could not help but bubble with bitterness. He was jealous. "Brother." Seeing her brother acting like a child who couldn't get any candy, Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but be speechless. Leng Ruoxue, who had gotten what she wanted, instantly felt that her life had been fulfilled. "Miss, what about us?" "At this, do you need a hug?" "Arg. No need. No need." When Cheng Wu and the rest heard the demon's words, they were so scared that their little hearts trembled. Guild leader Yi is always so imposing. It was just a light sentence, but it made him feel that the world had become dim. Sob. Isn't this bullying? Moreover, Miss would definitely not stand on their side and help them. Her young Miss was famous for valuing her beauty over her subordinates. You guys are out too? Leng Ruoxue, who was holding back her laughter, finally spoke. Then, she looked at Cheng Wu and the rest in surprise and asked, you guys fell into the water? There's a problem with the way we came out. Cheng Wu couldn't help but say, you were kicked out? Miss, don't be so smart. Yo. You're already an adult, and you're still blushing. However, you came out at the right time. Uncle Long and the others are too bored, so you should spend more time with them. Miss, we have to go out and gain experience. Cheng Wu reminded them. Their mental state was a little weak, so even if they had enough spiritual qi, they still could not advance. Thus, it was extremely necessary for them to go out and train. Yes, bring Uncle Long and the others. Leng Ruoxue laughed. Actually, on one hand, it was to solve Uncle Long's boredom. On the other hand, she was afraid that the witch from Ripple Mist would take advantage of the situation to cause trouble. Hence, she had requested for them to bring along Uncle Long and the other powerful bodyguards. When Cheng Wu and the rest heard this, they could only smile bitterly in their hearts. They knew very well how destructive Uncle Long and the others were. If they brought them along, they could imagine that their carefree days would be gone forever. However, they couldn't disobey the young lady's words. Therefore, if they wanted to go out and train, it was necessary to bring Uncle Long and the others. Why let them go out and gain experience? My dream dust space can do it too. Whatever kind of experience you want, I can come up with it. It's definitely real and reliable. The moment she saw Huan Chen appear, the veins on Leng Ruoxue's forehead throbbed. She then said, you'll have to ask them. She was a democratic boss, so she left the choice to her subordinates. Are you willing to do so? After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Huan Chen turned his pitch-black eyes to Cheng Wu and the rest. Cheng Wu and the others shivered. Everyone knew how terrifying illusory dust was, but the young lady did not care about it, so they did not dare to refuse. After exchanging glances with each other, Cheng Wu spoke on behalf of his brothers with a long face, we're willing. They didn't dare to refuse. Otherwise, Huan Chen would definitely find an opportunity to teach them a lesson. Under Huan Chen's silent threat, Cheng Wu and the others decisively ran away. Then, before they could even eat a delicious and hot meal, Huan Chen took over. They did not even have the time to return to their own rooms. As for Uncle Long and the others, who thought they would have the opportunity to teach these little guys how to improve their mental state cultivation, they didn't have the guts to snatch them from Huan Chen. Otherwise, that sinister guy. None of Shue's artifact spirits could be provoked. Facing Tsang and Huan Chen, Uncle Long and the others were terrified. These two weapon spirits were simply too powerful. As for Green Vessel, they were not at their peak, and he was still a little baby, so they were not afraid. However, Green Vessel was quite scary when it was angry. Hence, Uncle Long and the others, who were tactful, would not take the initiative to provoke Green Vessel. In short, no matter what Shue's people were, they should not provoke them. After Cheng Wu and the others were taken over by Huan Chen, he decisively targeted Leng Qingtian and Leng Ruoxue. However, he did not say anything and only looked at the two of them quietly. His gaze made the two of them feel their hair stand on end. In the end, they had no choice but to ask Leng Ruoxue for help with their eyes. Let grandpa and brother accompany me for a few days. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Good. I'll come pick them up in 3 days. Huan Chen was very generous. Seeing that he only gave 3 days, Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but want to ridicule him. Who was the master here? Shouldn't she be the one in charge? Why did all of them want to make decisions for her? Leng Ruoxue was filled with grief and indignation. However, when she saw Huan Chen's serious expression, Leng Ruoxue nodded decisively and said, all right, he said. Alluring fantasy dust smiled and then disappeared. At this moment, Cheng Wu and the others, who had been brought into the illusion dust space by the illusion dust, saw this scene through the light screen. Their hearts instantly balanced out. So, the Miss was also afraid of the illusion dust. Wu, I'm Shue's ancestor. Why can't you come in 3 days later? Suddenly, a bitter voice was heard. It was Leng Qianye, who had been cultivating in seclusion for a long time. Hearing his words, Cheng Wu and the rest looked at him with sympathy. That's right. This fellow was quite unlucky. Not only did he not receive any preferential treatment from Green Vessel, but he was also treated the same way as them at Huanchen. In their hearts, Leng Qianye's status was not even comparable to Leng Qingtian and Leng Ruoxue. When they thought of this, Cheng Wu and the others felt a little sympathetic towards him. What a pitiful young Mrs. old ancestor. However, who could he blame? It should be known that everything that the young lady had today was all due to her own hard work. It had nothing to do with the Leng family. Even in the immortal realm, this cheap ancestor still had to rely on the young lady. It's none of your business to give birth and you've never raised anyone before. Isn't it a fantasy to enjoy the same status as Leng Qingtian and Leng Ruoxue? The kind Cheng Wu patted Leng Qianye's shoulder and said, please restrain your grief. Leng Qianye was depressed. My condolences, my ass. Can't you comfort me and give me some positive energy? However, it was obvious that it was unrealistic for him to seek comfort from Cheng Wu and the others. How could a group of men have such tender feelings? Even if they did, it would definitely not be for Leng Qianye. It seems that you guys are in good spirits. Huan Chen, who had returned to the space, heard their conversation and laughed in a very lecherous manner. Although there had been quite a few guests who had come and gone from his space, he was most satisfied with Cheng Wu and the others. They were tenacious, determined, and willing to work hard. Training them gave him a sense of accomplishment. Now, these people were only one step away from becoming Reverend God level, so he decided to arrange their training course as well. Sweeping his gaze across Cheng Wu and the others, Huan Chen understood their situation. The next day, the simulation training officially began. 3 days later, Leng Qingtian and Leng Ruoxue were brought in by Huan Chen, who was on time. As for Leng Ruoxue, she continued to bitterly refine her acquired chaos divine weapon. Another 10 years had passed, and Leng Ruoxue's weapon refinement work was still continuing in an orderly manner. During this period, Feng De and the rest of the beastie were also kicked out by Qing Ju. He said that he was out to improve his mental state cultivation. However, Feng De and the others' cultivation was still a distance away from Cheng Wu's group. Hence, they had definitely spent much more time than Cheng Wu's group. After Feng De and the others were kicked out of their bracelets, the way they came out was very similar to Cheng Wu and the others. They were also laughed at by Uncle Long and the others. Following that, they felt deeply depressed. They were depressed because there was still a long way to go before they could advance, and they didn't even have enough spiritual energy stored, so they were kicked out just like that. This was really too much bullying. Don't think that they didn't know that Cheng Wu and the others were only brought out because they had enough spiritual energy. Feng De, who was extremely upset, complained to Uncle Long while the latter listened patiently. When Feng De finished, he said, "It's good that you're out now. It's better to cultivate outside. There's nothing wrong with gaining more knowledge and broadening your horizons. But the spiritual qi outside is nowhere near as abundant as the spiritual space." Feng De said sadly. Actually, he didn't want the gap between him and Cheng Wu and the others to be too big. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so angry. However, since things had come to this, it seemed that this was the only way. Calm down. How old are you? When I became a Reverend God, I was already tens of thousands of years old. So, compared to us old guys, you guys are simply too happy. In fact, I'm quite jealous of you guys. Uncle Long said honestly. Really? Feng De blinked his eyes and asked, "Little guy, would I lie to you?" Uncle Long pretended to be angry. Just as the two of them were talking, 2 laws of heaven and earth descended from the sky. Everyone was shocked and ran out in a hurry. Outside the courtyard, Leng Ruoxue and Leng Qingtian were in the midst of a realm breakthrough. The laws of heaven and earth enveloped them, giving off a gentle aura. After an unknown period of time, the heaven-earth law disappeared. However, the two of them did not wake up immediately. And around the two of them, there were a few beasts. Those beasts all had a satisfied expression on their faces, as if they had just eaten a delicious meal. Seeing this, Uncle Long and the others could only stay outside. A day later, the two finally woke up. The moment they opened their eyes, both of them revealed satisfied expressions. However, Uncle Long pretended to be angry and asked, "How did you break through outside? If someone were to disturb you, it would affect the effects of your advancement." Reverend God level was different from others. Once disturbed, one's strength would be greatly reduced. Therefore, experts were extremely careful when they advanced to Reverend God level and had to find a place with no one around. However, these two people had advanced to the upper level without a care. It was really. If someone were to cause trouble, Uncle Long would not know how to explain it to Xue or. We didn't want to. Huan Chen just sent us out and we couldn't control it. Leng Qingtian said with an embarrassed look. I've only heard of people who can't control themselves while giving birth, but this is the first time I've heard of someone who's in such a hurry to advance in rank. However, before they could celebrate, another person fell from the sky and landed beside their feet. Immediately after, the laws of heaven and earth descended. This time, Uncle Long and the others witnessed what it meant to lose control. A certain someone who had suddenly appeared didn't even have the time to get up from the ground before the laws of heaven and earth had already enveloped them. The speechless Uncle Long and the others were much calmer this time. After waiting for an entire day, a certain someone had finally completed his advancement. Arg! I'm also a Reverend God. Ha ha ha. The one who was a little carried away was Cheng Wu. At this moment, his excitement was beyond words, and no words could describe his current feelings. However, just as he laughed, he was secretly kicked away by Feng De, who was burning with jealousy. When Cheng Wu returned in a rage and wanted to find the murderer, everyone who knew the truth could not help but look up at the sky. However, no one paid him any attention. Cheng Wu was depressed. He was the one being bullied, so why did everyone have to cover up for the criminal? He was so sad. Cheng Wu looked at the crowd with hidden bitterness, but Uncle Long and the rest did not feel guilty at all. He should be kicked. He was indeed a little too smug. Uncle Long, Xue hasn't finished refining yet? In order to change the topic and continue ignoring Cheng Wu, Leng Qingtian asked about his precious granddaughter. How strange. Xue actually didn't appear when he broke through. This was really too abnormal. However, Uncle Long didn't even have the chance to reply before everyone heard another loud bang. Instantly, Leng Qingtian and Leng Ruoxue understood and decisively ran towards Leng Ruoxue's armament refining room. Not long after they came out, Feng De and the others, who were full of remorse and didn't have time to ask about their Mrs. situation, decisively followed. When they arrived at the equipment refining room, Leng Qingtian was the first to notice the pitch-black Leng Ruoxue. His heart ached as he said, "Xue, why is it so hard to refine artifacts? Are you hurt?" "No, I haven't, Grandpa, you've broken through, and so has Big Brother." Leng Ruoxue looked at her grandfather and brother's current strength and said happily. "Yes. Leng Qingtian and Leng Ruoxue nodded. Miss, I've also advanced. Miss, we've been kicked out by Green Vessel. You can cultivate outside. We will. Although someone advanced to Reverend God level earlier than us, it's still uncertain who will win. That's right, you guys have to work hard. Leng Ruoxue encouraged. At this moment, a group of furry little beasts swarmed forward and surrounded Leng Ruoxue tightly. Upon seeing this, Uncle Long and the others immediately dodged far away. Shue'er's beasts were so many that they could scare people to death. Those little beasts, upon seeing their beautiful and lovely master, began to complain. Naturally, it was Green Vessel. Moreover, they had a lot of opinions about Green Vessel. Leng Ruoxue did not know whether to laugh or cry. However, she also understood that these little guys were not happy that Qing Ju had kicked them out with Fengde and the others. In their words, they didn't need to improve their mental state cultivation, so why send them out? The little beasts were very puzzled. However, Song was very clear about Green Vessel's thoughts. Wasn't it because that guy felt that it was unfair when he saw that Nyo only had him and the evil-looking man by her side while he didn't come out? Did they want these little beasts to cause trouble for them? Wasn't that a dream? It had even thrown that tiny beast god to the ice spirit side, not daring to appear in front of Nyo. These little beasts were definitely more time-saving and energy-saving than beast gods. Thinking up to this point, Azure suggested, "Girl, leave these little guys to me. I'll train them." Arg. Cute master, don't. Don't hand me over to this demon. When Baby heard this, he was so frightened that he immediately burrowed into Leng Ruoxue's arms and refused to come out. The treasure was certain that if they fell into Tsang's hands, even if they didn't die, they would lose a layer of skin. When Cold heard that he was rejected, he immediately became furious and grabbed the thick fur on Baby's neck. "I'm a demon?" No, you're not a demon. You're scarier than a demon. Master, save me. After Baby spoke the truth, he immediately turned to Leng Ruoxue for help. Azure, I'll talk to them. Leng Ruoxue had no choice but to plead for him. Yes. Tsang nodded and threw the treasure back into Leng Ruoxue's arms. Then, he watched as Leng Ruoxue brought the beasts to a corner. After reaching the corner, the little beasts acted cute together, saying that they would rather die than let Azure train them. Leng Ruoxue looked at them quietly. When they felt that the atmosphere was not right and did not dare to make a sound, she opened her mouth and said, "Although Azure is a bit fierce and will be very strict with your training, if you refuse its training, I don't think I need to tell you what will happen, right? Your master, I, am now focused on artifact refining and can't take care of you. Think about it, if you refuse and are caught by Tsang, what will the consequences be? Or are you guys confident that you can avoid it forever, master?" Upon hearing this, the beast's eyes were filled with tears. Sob. If they could, of course, they wanted to avoid the demon, but could they? Now that they had been kicked out by Qing Ju, even the safest place was not willing to take them in. Where else could they hide? At the thought of this, the beasts were all worried. Leng Ruoxue stopped talking and gave them enough time to think. In the end, the beasties steeled their hearts and agreed. Sob. There were too many bosses, it was difficult for them. However, the guys around their master were fiercer than the other. They didn't dare to offend anyone. Since he didn't dare to offend them, he could only behave himself. Tsang was naturally extremely satisfied with such an outcome. As for Green Vessel in the bracelet, he stomped his feet in frustration. He had miscalculated. That night, to celebrate her grandfather, brother, and Cheng Wu's advancement to Reverend God level, Leng Ruoxue took a break for a few days and prepared a lot of food to satisfy everyone's needs. This celebration lasted for 3 whole days. 3 days later, Leng Ruoxue returned to the weapon refinement chamber. Fengde and the others were also taken over by Huan Chen. The 3 new hierarch left the demon city together. In the next 5 years, the people who entered the Bengal with Cheng Wu came out of seclusion one after another and successfully advanced. Of course, after they advanced, they also chose to leave Demon City and go to the real God world to experience it. In these 5 years, Leng Ruoxue and the other weapon craftsmen had gone through repeated experiments and made great progress in the creation of Hotian Chaos Divine weapons. Now, although they would still explode, they would basically only fail at the last step. Even though the explosion at the end would be more depressing for the armament master, Leng Ruoxue was still very happy. This was because it indicated that their work in refining armaments had always been improving. Now, as long as he mastered the last step, the success of the Hotian Chaos Divine weapon could be achieved in a few days. After a few years, Leng Ruoxue finally managed to craft a divine weapon. However, in Qing Ju's eyes, although this divine weapon was also an acquired chaotic divine weapon, it was not up to standard. Naturally, it would not be recognized by the heaven-defying art. On the other hand, Qing Ju's request for Leng Ruoxue was that the acquired chaos divine weapon that she forged must have a weapon spirit. Artifact spirit? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Inside the bangle, Leng Ruoxue, who was initially excited, felt as if someone had poured cold water on her head. Her heart turned cold. Qing Ju had learned his lesson. He's learned too much. Moreover, this was not the first time Green Vessel had done this. Sister, I'm just afraid of adding pressure to you. Think about it, you haven't even made a Hotian Chaos Divine weapon yet. If I tell you that a Hotian Chaos Divine weapon that meets the requirements of the heaven-defying art must have a weapon spirit, how depressed would you be? Wouldn't it be my fault if I were to strike a blow to your morale? In addition, a real acquired chaotic divine weapon with a weapon spirit must be tempered by a weapon tribulation, just like a supreme-grade elixir. Otherwise, it can't be called a real acquired chaotic divine weapon. So, sister, continue to work hard. We'll definitely succeed. Qing Ju laughed and coaxed. Leng Ruoxue was depressed when she heard this. She was extremely depressed. Although she did not deny that Qing Ju's words made sense, she was still depressed. After leaving the bracelet in a dazed and dejected manner, Leng Ruoxue went back to her room without saying a word. Uncle Long and the others were surprised to see this. What happened to Xue? Didn't he finally craft an acquired chaos divine weapon? Why are you unhappy? Uncle Long was confused. He had not forgotten how happy Xue was when she went to report the good news to Qing Ju. The demon wasn't sure, but he could feel that Xue was in a bad mood. At this moment, Huan Chen appeared and said with sympathy, it's probably because the Hotian chaos divine artifact that I refined didn't meet my requirements. It was just a guess, but it was the truth. What do you mean by that? Uncle Long and the others were puzzled. I'm guessing that Green Vessel wants an acquired chaos divine weapon like me. Huan Chen said somewhat narcissistically. You? Do you still want to live? Uncle Long couldn't help but shiver. He didn't want Xue to make another demon. That would be a headache. Right now, it was already terrifying enough that Xue had Song, Huan Chen, and Green Vessel by her side. If someone like Huan Chen appeared, wouldn't they have to tuck their tails between their legs and act like humans and beasts? That would really be a dead end. Just thinking about it was scary. What do you know? An acquired chaos divine weapon like me is definitely something that can only be encountered by luck. Huan Chen said proudly. Uncle Long and the others were speechless in the face of such an illusion. After Leng Ruoxue returned to her room, she began to seriously consider Qing Ju's words. It was obviously not easy to refine an acquired chaotic divine weapon with a weapon spirit. Moreover, she had never refined a divine weapon that contained a weapon spirit. Although her chill was a divine artifact that could grow, after so many years, it only had a bit of spirituality. It was still far from becoming an artifact spirit. After thinking for a long time, Leng Ruoxue's thoughts became more and more chaotic. She had no choice but to walk out of the room. In the courtyard, the evildoer had been standing guard outside the room. When he saw Leng Ruoxue come out, he quickly went forward and pulled her into his arms. He asked with concern, Xue, it's just a divine weapon. Let's make a few more and there will be a qualified one. Qing Ju said to bring an artifact spirit. Leng Ruoxue wasn't surprised that the demon would know about this and replied honestly, Artifact spirit? Can you catch one? The demon asked. Artifact spirits can be captured? I've heard from Dream Dust that there's a type of stone that's extremely sentient. There's at least a 10% chance that it'll produce an artifact spirit if it's used to refine an artifact. However, if that's the case, I'm afraid I'll have to start all over again to refine post-celestial chaos artifacts. Evildoer told Xue the information he had heard from Fantasy Dust. The moment Leng Ruoxue heard this, she was immediately interested and asked, where can I find that kind of stone? I don't know, the demon said helplessly. The word, I don't know, left Leng Ruoxue dumbfounded. She didn't know where to find it, so how could she catch it? It's possible to find traces of that stone in the deep mountains, canyons, ice sources, and deep seas. It said that when Fantasy Dust was made, it also added that stone to cause a mutation. The demon said again. This. Isn't the range a little too wide? Leng Ruoxue was speechless. If they really searched like this, how many years and months would it take? It's a little bigger, but there's always hope, isn't there? After all, it's not easy to obtain heavenly treasures. The demon laughed. That's true. Then let's go find that stone now. Leng Ruoxue could not wait any longer. When Uncle Long and the others heard that Leng Ruoxue and the demon were going to search for unknown ores aimlessly, they also expressed that they wanted to go and broaden their horizons. However, it was obviously unrealistic for so many people to follow them. In the end, Leng Ruoxue only brought away Evildoer, Uncle Long, Tsang and a group of little beasts. 3 months later. Leng Ruoxue and the demon had brought Uncle Long and the other little beasts to search the entire divinity. Now, the only place they had yet to search was the largest volcano in the divinity. As soon as they reached the foot of the volcano, Dream Dust appeared. Master, the stone is here. Hen said with absolute certainty. He could clearly sense a familiar aura within the volcano. Really? Leng Ruoxue was overjoyed. She immediately brought the evildoer, Uncle Long, and Tsang up the mountain. She couldn't let the stone escape. When they reached the peak of the volcano, Leng Ruoxue only released the phoenixes. As the other beasts did not like fire, she kept them in her bracelet. As soon as the phoenixes appeared, they flew into the air and searched everywhere. At this moment, Huan Chen suddenly shouted, "Come out. I know you're here." Leng Ruoxue's face was filled with black lines. Was he trying to scare the stone away? Master, that stone's form is ever-changing, so I can only sense that it's here, but I don't know what it looks like. I can only use this method to call it out. I hope it can give me some face. However, after waiting for a long time, the stone-like object did not appear. Dream Dust was furious. Leng Ruoxue quickly consoled him, that stone might be sleeping. We should be more careful. Who said I was sleeping? I came out a long time ago. It's just that your eyes are bad and you didn't see me. All of a sudden, a childlike voice rang in Leng Ruoxue's ears. The moment Leng Ruoxue heard this, she immediately looked around and said gently, "Where are you? Human, lower your head." Leng Ruoxue did as she was told. However, when she looked down, she realized that there was only a small blade of grass that was completely red. Where's the rock? Leng Ruoxue raised her head again and asked, "Where are you?" I didn't see you. Idiot. Didn't I tell you to lower your head? His voice was flustered and exasperated. Ugh. Leng Ruoxue obediently lowered her head once more. There was still only an unremarkable, ordinary-looking blade of grass in front of her. However, this kind of grass could be seen everywhere in the immortal realm and was not rare at all. However, there was only one here, so it was a little strange. Crouching down, Leng Ruoxue's slender fingers touched the leaves of the grass and asked softly, "You're talking?" "It's me." The little red grass proudly shook its leaves and said. Leng Ruoxue's face darkened. The demon and Uncle Long were speechless. A blade of grass calling itself a lord, was this a world-changing story? More importantly, shouldn't dream dust be summoning stones? Why would it be a blade of grass? Grass equals stone? Leng Ruoxue and the other two, as well as the phoenixes, could not help but turn to look at Huan Chen. In comparison, this fellow was still the most normal. Huan Chen, on the other hand, was infuriated by Leng Ruoxue's group of three and the beastie. He was so angry that he stomped on little grass's weak body and cursed, "Your sister, speak properly." "Arg. It hurts. It hurts. You're a bad guy. You're a bully. If I had known, I wouldn't have shown myself." Wah, a cry came from beneath Dreamdust's feet. Previous chapter. A few more black lines appeared on Leng Ruoxue's forehead. Was it really okay for such a weak little grass to be crushed like this? Sensing Leng Ruoxue's feelings, Huan Chen laughed. "Master, don't worry. This fellow's life force is very strong." "No. I'm not stubborn at all." A rebuttal came from beneath Huan Chen's feet. Then, a song was transmitted to Leng Ruoxue's group of three in the beastie's ears. "No fragrance, no height, I'm just a blade of grass that no one knows." The three of them and the beasts were silent. This grass. I can see that this grass is obviously not mentally normal. It's clearly a stone, but it's turned into grass, and it's so happy. Is it really good to make an artifact spirit with such a material? Uncle Long said what everyone was thinking, while Huan Chen only felt that he had lost face. As a former comrade, he felt that this broken stone was really not giving him any face. "Master, this stone is currently the only one in the divine realm," Dreamdust said after some thought. "If we use it as a material, it'll definitely save us a lot of trouble in refining post-celestial chaos divine artifacts. After all, artifact spirits are hard to come by." Although this was suspicious of cheating, it was fine as long as there was an item spirit in the acquired chaos divine item. Why did he care so much? But what about its personality? Leng Ruoxue couldn't take it anymore. It was too noisy. Just slowly train him. Although it's a little talkative, it's still bearable compared to its practical value. Dreamdust said. "Are you sure?" When Leng Ruoxue heard Huan Chen's words, she felt that he was like a grandmother wolf who abducted a little white rabbit. She just didn't know if the little white rabbit in his eyes was her or the little grass that was a little crazy. "I'm sure." Huan Chen nodded heavily. "But is it willing to become an artifact spirit?" Even though Leng Ruoxue had agreed, she still had to clarify things. After all, she did not wish to force any living being with spirituality to do something they were unwilling to do. "I'm willing. It can only transform after becoming a tool spirit. Otherwise, it'll always be a stone." Without even asking the grass, Huan Chen had domineeringly decided the grass's future, and the grass had no chance to object. "Woo, it's grass rights." In the end, Leng Ruoxue took the grass with her. After returning to Demon City, Dongfangyu, Master Ning, and the others heard that Leng Ruoxue had found a stone that could produce a weapon spirit. They were all curious and asked to take a look. However, when they saw that Leng Ruoxue had only taken out a single stalk of grass, everyone was collectively dumbfounded. We want to see the stones." Master Ning couldn't help but remind him. "This is it," Leng Ruoxue said with certainty. "Are you kidding us? This is clearly grass." Master Ning said unhappily. Shui had learned to be bad. "Grass-shaped stone." Leng Ruoxue explained. The moment Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, the red-colored grass that had been lying listlessly on her palm stood up. It shook its leaves to raise its spirits and said, "Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you. Please take good care of me." Hello there." Master Ning and the others responded in a daze. The world was so big, and there were all kinds of strange things. None of them had expected that the material Shui brought back was actually an ordinary blade of grass. However, the little red grass, which had become a little crazy at the sight of so many people, began to sing again. "No fragrance of flowers, no height of trees, I am a little grass that no one knows." Ugh. Master Ning and the others didn't know how to react. Leng Ruoxue and the rest were extremely calm. It was good to let everyone admire this weird grass. Wasn't this sharing good fortune and suffering together? In the end, Master Ning and the others, whose endurance was obviously not as good as Leng Ruoxue and the others, were crushed by the little grass. For a few days, they didn't dare to show up, afraid that the little grass that liked to sing would entangle them, because once entangled, the other party would want to treat them to free songs. But they didn't want to hear it at all. Right now, their only hope was that Shui could quickly take care of this grass. However, they had forgotten that even if they dealt with this grass, it was also an artifact spirit and would still appear. At that time, it would be even more convenient for people to move around. More importantly, there was only one stone with such a spirit in the world. Hence, Leng Ruoxue had to be careful when dealing with the other party's body. If the refinement failed, she would have no place to cry to. As a result, he had to struggle for quite a few days. Days. In the weapon refining room, Leng Ruoxue was carefully adjusting the temperature of the liquid in the weapon furnace. With her previous experience, she could now perfectly control the temperature of the fire to refine acquired Chaos Divine weapons. Beside her, there were also many finished products of the successfully refined acquired Chaos Divine weapons. However, these finished divine weapons did not have weapon spirits. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but stare at the floating red grass not far away. Those finished Hotian Chaos Divine artifacts were meant for it to live in, but who knew that this fellow had so many demands? It was either dissatisfied with the temperature, unwilling to put them into the furnace, or dissatisfied with the appearance of the divine artifacts. After so many refinements, there was not a single one that satisfied it. Leng Ruoxue was almost driven mad by its torture. What kind of body do you want? Leng Ruoxue asked through gritted teeth. I don't know. Red Grass replied matter-of-factly. Leng Ruoxue was exasperated. Why don't you give me a tower-shaped one? Red Grass thought for a while and said. Leng Ruoxue lowered her head and looked at the golden tower not far away. Bastard! Don't steal my version. At this moment, Azure, who had been napping in the corner, opened his eyes and clawed at the grass, smacking it into the ground. She struggled to get up. There was a small blade of grass on the ground, but Leng Ruoxue ignored it. Then, she heard Red Grass say, then give me some space. Leng Ruoxue continued to ignore him. Hearing this, Huanshan appeared and stepped on the grass, crushing it. This kind of thing happened almost every day. Leng Ruoxue was already numb to it. Right now, her biggest headache was what kind of home this grass wanted. After being tormented for a few more days, Leng Ruoxue decisively resorted to violence. She grabbed the grass and shouted fiercely, I'll give you 3 minutes to tell me what kind of home you want. Otherwise, I'll make the decision for you. I want a spacious, beautiful, and cute one. A certain grass said while counting its leaves. Leng Ruoxue couldn't take it anymore. What was the difference between this and not saying anything? AI. She knew that she couldn't let this grass have too much authority, or it would climb all over her. In the next second, Leng Ruoxue threw the stalk of grass into the armament furnace. The moment it entered the armament furnace, the red-colored grass let out a shrill cry, arg. It was so hot. It was so hot. It's burning this little master to death. However, Leng Ruoxue didn't care at all. Guard Wing and the rest who were helping out also ignored her. After living with this grass for a few days, they already knew the habits of this grass and would definitely not be fooled. More importantly, the temperature in the furnace was the most suitable for it. When the sound of the grass gradually weakened, the appearance of the acquired Chaos Divine weapon had already taken shape in Leng Ruoxue's mind. Finally, after tempering and shaping, the acquired Chaos Divine weapon was officially completed with the addition of the nameless little grass. This was a very beautiful house. It could be big or small, and the smallest one was not even the size of a palm. It completely met a certain grass's requirements of being spacious and beautiful. As for its cuteness, it depended on the person. However, before Leng Ruoxue and the rest had the time to admire the view, the house had already run outside in excitement. At the same time, the sky outside was filled with lightning and thunder, and the dark clouds were extremely spectacular. Leng Ruoxue and the rest looked at each other. They knew that this was the weapon tribulation. After passing the weapon tribulation, this post-celestial Chaos Divine weapon would be officially recorded in the laws of the heaven and earth. She would be able to complete her mission and officially advance. Thinking about it, Leng Ruoxue's heart couldn't help but beat wildly in excitement. However, the weapon tribulation of an acquired Chaos Divine weapon was far more powerful than that of a top-grade divine pill. Fortunately, the acquired Chaos Divine weapon was a house that was built for both living and defense. Thus, Leng Ruoxue was quite confident that it would be able to survive the weapon tribulation. It was just that the personality of the house's weapon spirit was a little worrying. As the first weapon tribulation descended, a certain house easily survived. The second lightning bolt, the third. All the way to the seventh lightning bolt, the house appeared very relaxed. However, at the eighth lightning bolt, the lightning bolts that struck down were obviously much thicker, which made the onlookers a little worried. Sure enough, the eighth artifact was already a little difficult to carry, but after a long time, it finally passed. However, after the eighth weapon tribulation, there was no more weapon tribulation. However, the dark clouds in the sky had not dispersed, so no one could tell if there would be another weapon tribulation. Unfortunately, Leng Ruoxue couldn't feed the house any healing pills. The house had to rely on itself for everything. Hence, it could be said that she was more anxious than anyone else. Sensing Leng Ruoxue's anxiety, a certain house member consoled her, "Girl, don't worry, this young master will be fine." "Your sister, are you fit to call her Nyo?" Hearing this, Tsang exploded. "What's wrong with that? I didn't call you." A certain house was very disapproving. "I'm the only one who can say that, you're not allowed to." Azure Fire roared. "Humph." A certain house was so proud that it kept quiet. With the two of them stirring things up, the atmosphere at the scene was much more relaxed. It was unknown how long it had been brewing for. When the weapon tribulation descended once again, Leng Ruoxue and the others were shocked by the mighty lightning and thunder in front of them. This ninth weapon tribulation was simply the combination of the previous 8. The lightning bolt was almost 10 meters thick, and there were still sparks the size of an adult's arm on it. If it hit a human body. The surrounding crowd shivered and left. After hiding in the distance, everyone watched as the ninth tribulation bolt smashed into the house, instantly turning the beautiful house into a charred black. Leng Ruoxue was so nervous that her heart was in her throat. This house was built by her and was naturally connected to her mind. Therefore, she could clearly feel that the house was in pain, but she could not help. If she interfered with the heaven and earth's test on this house, the weapon tribulation that the house would have to bear would increase by several times. Therefore, she did not dare to make a move at all. Looking at it from afar, her heart ached so much that it twisted together. Although that grass had a strange personality, it was still her child. The feeling of only being able to watch and not be able to help was really uncomfortable. The ninth weapon tribulation was indeed extraordinary. It lasted for 3 days and 3 nights the moment it appeared. The pain that Leng Ruoxue felt in her heart also continued for 3 days and 3 nights. Leng Ruoxue could empathize with the pain in a certain house. More importantly, this feeling was too heart-wrenching, and after 3 days and 3 nights, she realized that the ninth tribulation didn't show any signs of weakening. Not only that, it even intensified from time to time. This fact made her feel deeply aggrieved. Leng Ruoxue gritted her teeth in hatred as she watched the weapon tribulation swagger around in the sky like a ferocious beast. It was a pity that she did not dare to step forward to help the house withstand the weapon tribulation. Otherwise, the weapon tribulation would only get worse. 2 days later, the weapon tribulation finally weakened. However, the wailing in Leng Ruoxue's heart was also getting weaker and weaker. This made her even more worried. Right before the ninth weapon tribulation disappeared, the pained groans from a certain house had also disappeared. Instantly, Leng Ruoxue's expression changed drastically. Damn it! Didn't succeed? Xue, what's wrong? The demon asked worriedly when he saw Xue's already pale face turn even paler. The grass's aura has disappeared. Leng Ruoxue said in a depressed mood. Did you fail? Uncle Long could not help but ask. However, as soon as Uncle Long finished speaking, he received a lot of glares. The onlookers all looked at Uncle Long and accused him of touching a sore spot, while Uncle Long felt wronged. I don't know. The grass's aura disappeared for a while, but then it reappeared. It was very weak, so I'm not sure if it succeeded. Leng Ruoxue said, feeling a little conflicted. This is indeed hard to judge. Uncle Long teased. He didn't know how to comfort Xue. At this moment, another thunderclap rang out in the sky, attracting everyone to raise their heads in unison. They saw that the sky, which had just had a trace of sunlight, had returned to its gloomy state. Immediately, everyone's hearts sank. Was the weapon tribulation still not over? Your sister. Why is there no end to this? Everyone looked at Leng Ruoxue worriedly, afraid that she would go crazy. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue was really going crazy. However, what made her feel strange was that although the black clouds in the sky had gathered again, they did not descend even after a long time. She did not know what they were brewing. The 10th weapon tribulation took even longer than the 9th. They had waited for 5 days before the 10th weapon tribulation descended. However, this weapon tribulation was different from the previous 9. It was in the form of a thick black mist. The moment the 10th weapon tribulation descended, Leng Ruoxue's heart clenched once more. However, this time, she did not hear the pained wail of a certain grass. Instead, she could feel the aura of a certain grass growing stronger. What was going on? With a stomach full of doubts, Leng Ruoxue stared unblinkingly at the house that was enveloped by the 10th weapon tribulation. Only when she confirmed that the house was indeed recovering bit by bit did she finally feel at ease. Don't worry, it's fine now. Leng Ruoxue turned to Demon and the rest with a faint smile. That's good. Uncle Long and the others were relieved. Hee. I'm fine. Oh. It's so comfortable. At this moment, the sound of a certain house appeared in everyone's ears. Leng Ruoxue was speechless. She had no idea who that weak aura was. As time passed, the thick black fog that shrouded a certain house was slowly absorbed. After the thick fog disappeared, the house that had been struck by lightning and turned black returned to its original gorgeous appearance. When Leng Ruoxue saw this, she immediately understood the purpose of the thick black fog. At this moment, a handsome young man jumped out from the house. The moment he appeared, he immediately pounced towards Leng Ruoxue. However, before he could even touch the corner of Leng Ruoxue's clothes, he was sent flying by a kick from someone. Leng Ruoxue and the others watched helplessly as the fancy-looking young man turned into a shooting star and slowly disappeared before their eyes. This young man should be the little grass that liked to sing, right? What a pity. He hadn't even said a word to them, and he had already passed away. And the main character who created this tragedy was naturally the evildoer. However, the evildoer did not feel guilty at all after doing all this. To dare to take advantage of his woman, just kicking her away was already considered cheap. Looking at the evildoer's calm expression, Leng Ruoxue calmed down as well. She couldn't possibly blame the evildoer for the sake of a freshly made weapon spirit. More importantly, she deeply felt that the tool spirit should be properly tidied up. At the very least, she had to get rid of his habit of singing to others at random. It was noise. Absolute noise. Naturally, Leng Ruoxue was the happiest after she had refined and acquired chaotic divine weapon with a weapon spirit. Furthermore, Qing Ju had also sent her a voice transmission to confirm that she had passed the test. With that, she could finally advance. Before she made a breakthrough, she happily pulled the demon, Uncle Long, and the others to celebrate. Not long after Leng Ruoxue and the rest started eating, a disheveled-looking young man suddenly appeared out of nowhere. The moment he saw Leng Ruoxue, he hugged her leg and did not let go. Nyo! Girl! You have to help me. Someone is bullying me. However, just as he howled twice and before Leng Ruoxue could even speak, everyone saw several white lights flash before their eyes. Immediately after, an earth-shattering howl of a wolf could be heard. On the youth's face, there were 10 claw marks that were bright and eye-catching as warm blood seeped out from them. Senior Tsang is really ruthless. The crowd and the beasts couldn't help but secretly sympathize with him. After kicking the youngster away, evildoer and Tsang Huan high-fived each other in an unprecedented way to celebrate. However, after a while, the young man crawled back and stood a meter away from Leng Ruoxue. With tears in his eyes, he looked at Leng Ruoxue with a choked-up and aggrieved expression. He started singing again, "No fragrance, no tree master, I'm just a little grass that no one loves." Leng Ruoxue was speechless. She knew it. This guy still couldn't change his nature even after becoming an artifact spirit. As long as she thought about how she would have such an obviously abnormal artifact spirit by her side in the future, she would feel very conflicted. Shut up. Leng Ruoxue couldn't take it anymore and roared. Woo. Master doesn't love me. The young man sobbed silently. He originally wanted to call Nyo, but when he saw the stinky cat in his master's arms glaring at him threateningly with its claws, he decisively gave up. As long as you don't sing too much, there will be many people who will love you in the future. Leng Ruoxue gritted her teeth. It's because I've been alone for tens of thousands of years that I developed the habit of talking to myself. The young man said in an extremely aggrieved manner. Leng Ruoxue was speechless. She did not know if she should sympathize with him. At this moment, Uncle Long, who couldn't bear it, walked forward and gently stroked the young man's head. Little fellow, there will be many people accompanying you in the future. Yes. The young man nodded and said with a serious face, please don't call me little guy, okay? I'm not younger than you. Uncle Long was depressed. Then, the young man took the initiative to greet everyone. Let's get to know each other again. I'm called Xiao Chao. Hello, little guys. All the beasts were depressed. They had never thought that Shui would refine an elder for them. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue stood up and said to the crowd of beasts, Uncle Long, you guys can continue eating. I'm going to make a breakthrough. If she continued to stay here, she would go crazy. This grass is incurable. It's getting late, we should go back to our rooms. Uncle Long and the others said in unison. With that, the crowd and beasts all disappeared. Little Grass, who was left alone, was completely dumbfounded. What? What did this mean? He hadn't finished speaking. However, it was obvious that no one was willing to listen to his nonsense. After Leng Ruoxue left, she entered the bangle immediately. The demon entered with her. After sitting in the purple bamboo house, she began to advance. The last level of the heaven-defying art required an unimaginable amount of spiritual qi. Fortunately, she had no lack of spiritual qi at the moment, and now everything was going smoothly. Therefore, she quickly felt the barrier to the next level. She mobilized the spiritual qi in her body and rushed forward with all her strength. The demon watched Leng Ruoxue nervously from the side and observed her movements at all times. A few hours later, Leng Ruoxue was drenched in sweat. It was as if she had fallen into water. Her clothes were all drenched in sweat, and a pained expression gradually appeared on her face. Seeing this, the demon's heart shrank. However, he knew that at this moment, he could not panic. After all, Shui could only rely on herself to advance. Unless Shui's spiritual energy was insufficient, he could not lend a helping hand. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Slowly, Leng Ruoxue's pain lessened, and her expression gradually calmed down. After a long time, Leng Ruoxue finally opened her beautiful eyes. Just as she was about to smile at the evildoer, her body went soft and she fell down. Shui. The demon's expression changed when he saw this. He rushed over and hugged Leng Ruoxue. I'm so tired. The listless Leng Ruoxue only managed to utter these 3 words before she fainted. The demon was scared out of his wits and immediately carried Shui to the bed. At this moment, Qing Ju appeared and said, Elder sister is fine. She's just too tired and fell asleep. I'm so tired that I fell asleep. The demon gritted his teeth and repeated, his forehead full of black lines. However, he also knew that it was not easy for Shui to advance. Seeing that she was breathing evenly, he was relieved. Leng Ruoxue had slept for half a month. While she was sleeping, her body was also absorbing the spiritual energy in the bracelet. When she woke up, she no longer felt tired, but there was still no spiritual energy left in her body. She felt that once she advanced, she had gone from a rich man to the poverty line. She was so depressed that she wanted to scratch the wall. Other people were refreshed and energetic after advancing, but why did she feel like she was going to fall with a single touch? This was really bullying. In her current state, she couldn't even take advantage of the law points of heaven and earth if she wanted to advance to Reverend God level. There wasn't enough spiritual energy. The sorrowful Leng Ruoxue looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle without saying a word. The evildoers who knew about her situation didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He held Shui in his arms and coaxed her, Shui, don't be depressed. There will be spiritual energy. Everything will be there. That's right. Sister, please help me break the seal first. Qing Ju also said. Break the seal? We'll talk about it when I'm better. Leng Ruoxue innocently blinked her beautiful eyes and said calmly. This time, it was Qing Ju's turn to scratch the wall. Was his sister clearly abusing her power to take revenge on a private matter? You can't do this. He was still waiting to unseal the seal and start farming. It could be said that he was more concerned about the size of his own land than he was about recovering his full strength. However, the current situation was that Leng Ruoxue was in a bad mood and didn't intend to let him have his wish. Qingju also knew that his sister was in a fit of anger. Hence, it was best for him to be obedient at this time and not touch his sister's head. Otherwise, his sister would definitely go crazy. With this thought in mind, Qingju forced himself to calm down and looked at Leng Ruoxue with hidden bitterness. He wanted to use his gaze to make his sister feel guilty. Unfortunately, even though his idea was good, this wish was very difficult to fulfill. This was because Leng Ruoxue's skin was already thicker than a city wall. She ignored Qingju's resentful gaze and focused on being a rice weeper, enjoying the service of the beautiful man. Seeing how the evildoer treated Leng Ruoxue like his ancestor every day, Qingju secretly despised him. However, the evildoer did not care. In fact, from his perspective, it was only right for a man to serve his wife. Who would dare to say no? Inside the bangle, Leng Ruoxue was recuperating. At the same time, she was trying her best to absorb spiritual energy in preparation to take advantage of the laws of heaven and earth. Outside the bangle, Leng Ruoxue, who had not appeared for a long time, also caused Uncle Long and the others to be worried. They had no idea what Leng Ruoxue's current situation was and felt that Shue's realm advancement was a little too long. According to past practices, Leng Ruoxue would only be cultivating in the bracelet. As long as she had enough spiritual qi, she would usually come out to advance. However, Shue had clearly made all the preparations long ago, so why had she not come out yet? The more time passed, the more worried Uncle Long and the others became. However, Zhang wasn't worried at all. Every day, he would eat and drink as he should, and also play with a certain grass. One had to say that azure was the nemesis of a certain grass. Especially when Uncle Long and the others were annoyed by the grass, as long as they threw the verdant bamboo, the grass would immediately wither. It could be said that Zhang's life was quite comfortable. Later on, the grass learned its lesson and was determined not to provoke Zhang. That guy was indeed not someone it could afford to provoke, especially when its master was not around. 3 months later, Leng Ruoxue, who had enough spiritual qi to advance, finally left the bracelet with the demon. The moment Leng Ruoxue appeared, a white figure charged towards her. After sensing that the other party wasn't Zhang, she was just about to dodge when the figure flew out again. Leng Ruoxue was rather calm as she looked at the little dots of white light. Shue, you've finally come out. When they saw Leng Ruoxue, Uncle Long and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Uncle Long, I've made you worry. There was an accident when I was upgrading the heaven-defying art, and I used up all my spiritual qi, so I stayed in there for a while longer. Leng Ruoxue explained with an apologetic look. It's good that you're fine. Uncle Long said, relieved. It's fine now. I can take advantage of the laws of heaven and earth now. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. In the past, when she broke through, she would think that the benefits she received were a gift from the heavens. However, after she understood the laws of heaven and earth, she no longer thought that way. As the saying goes, it would be a waste not to take advantage of the laws of heaven and earth. More importantly, even if she did not take advantage of it, the laws of heaven and earth might not thank her. With such thoughts in mind, Leng Ruoxue naturally felt at ease. After finding an empty spot on the mountain top and sitting down cross-legged, she was surrounded by countless small and exquisite beasts. The demon, Uncle Long, and the others were standing guard outside to keep an eye on them. After waiting for a while, the laws of heaven and earth finally descended. The 7-colored radiance instantly enveloped Leng Ruoxue. The moment she advanced to Reverend God level, the spiritual energy stored in her body was once again depleted. However, the lost spiritual energy would be replenished by the laws of heaven and earth. At the same time, when Leng Ruoxue broke through, several laws of the heaven and earth descended. These laws of the heaven and earth landed on Ziyu, Mei, Fengzhan, Baisu, and Bao Bao who were standing beside Leng Ruoxue. Uncle Long and the others were stunned. Those few beasts had also advanced to the level of a revered emperor beast at the same time. Uncle Long suddenly felt a little upset when he saw how easily they advanced. It must be known that he had gone through a lot of hardships to advance to the venerable emperor level. However, these beasts' advancement was obviously much easier than his, especially their treasures, which made him envious and jealous. In his eyes, treasure was not a beast that worked hard. Yet, it had become one of the earliest beasts that Leng Ruoxue had managed to advance to the venerate lord rank. How could this not make others jealous? Uncle Long and the others continued to watch. Leng Ruoxue's reverent god level advancement ceremony was obviously much longer than Leng Qingtian's and the others. They had been watching for a few days, but it was still not over. With great difficulty, the heaven-earth law that enveloped Leng Ruoxue disappeared. Then, several more heaven-earth laws descended from the sky. Needless to say, their target was none other than the spiritual beasts beside Leng Ruoxue. With such a repeated exchange of benefits, be it Leng Ruoxue or the beastie, the benefits they obtained were extremely huge. The crowd could not help but feel envious, jealous, and hateful. There were always beasts breaking through, so the laws of heaven and earth continued for a long time. After nearly half a month, the laws of heaven and earth slowly faded. Leng Ruoxue opened her eyes. Shue, your advancement is truly spectacular. Uncle Long couldn't help but say. Even though he was mentally prepared, he was still shocked after seeing it with his own eyes. It was simply too inconceivable. Compared to Shue's and the other beasties' breakthroughs, Uncle Long and the others felt that their own breakthroughs were too weak. At this moment, the beasts gradually woke up. When they saw Leng Ruoxue beside them, they all snuggled into her arms. At the same time, Baby proudly answered Uncle Long's question, "It's no big deal, we've always been like this." Uncle Long and the others were speechless. This little guy really didn't know what humility was. Especially when they saw Baby's smug expression, they really didn't know what to say. "What are you showing off for? Wasn't it just a rank up? Little guy, do you know how to be humble?" Everyone looked at the baby. The baby replied with his eyes, not understanding. As a beast, he had to be high profile when he needed to be. After exchanging glances, Uncle Long and the others were completely defeated. Because in their eyes, their baby's thick skin had also been trained to a certain level. After communicating with Uncle Long and the rest, Baby turned to Leng Ruoxue and said, "My lovely master, your treasure is also a reverent god now." Hee hee. "Yes, although you're already a reverent god, it's still better for us to keep a low profile, baby." Leng Ruoxue, who didn't miss the interaction between the treasure and Uncle Long and the others, reminded them. "Adorable master, your baby has always been very low-key." Baby said, feeling wronged. "All right. I think we should keep a low profile." Leng Ruoxue said helplessly as she touched the baby's fur. "Nyo's right, he should be like me, not sticking out for anything." At this moment, Tsang's voice rang in everyone's ears. At that moment, the treasure was terrified and buried its head in Leng Ruoxue's arms. When everyone heard Tsang's words, they couldn't help but gasp. "Senior Tsang. Don't you stand out in everything?" In their opinion, the most high profile of the beasts was definitely Azure. However, they only dared to think about it in their hearts and didn't dare to say it out loud. Otherwise, Azure would definitely explode with anger. However, even if they didn't say anything, from their expressions and reactions, Azure could tell that these people were talking bad about it. It was just that it was in a good mood today, so it didn't bother with these little guys. At the same time, as Tsang took a step towards Leng Ruoxue, the beasts could no longer be bothered to get close to Leng Ruoxue. They immediately scattered and hid far away. Uncle Long and the others were left speechless by this scene. Senior Tsang has trained these little beasts very well. In reality, Baby and the other beasts were depressed to death. However, they were no match for Azure. As such, they could only act like beasts with their tails between their legs. With a faint smile, Tsang gave the beastie a satisfied look before jumping into Leng Ruoxue's arms. He asked curiously, "Girl, your heaven-defying incantation has already reached the Great Circle. Why hasn't that idiot Qing Ju come out yet? This isn't right." Based on its understanding of that idiot green vessel, who had recovered its full strength, should have come out to fight it one-on-one long ago. But it had been waiting for a few days, and there was still no sign of the little baby? This was too abnormal. I still haven't released the last seal on him," Leng Ruoxue said guiltily. Previously, she did not unseal Qing Ju on purpose. However, she had really forgotten about it after that. No way. Did he not cause a scene? That guy is most concerned about those few pieces of land. Azure's eyes widened in disbelief. "No, I didn't, Leng Ruoxue whispered. At this moment, Qing Ju's sobbing voice suddenly sounded in her heart. "Sister, it's already been more than 3 months. When are you going to release the last seal for me? Woo, big sister is such a bully." "Ugh." Leng Ruoxue felt a little guilty and hurriedly said, "I'll undo the last seal for you now, so don't cry." "Sister, you can't lie to me," Qing Ju said cautiously. Leng Ruoxue was speechless. "When have I ever lied to you?" This little wimp actually didn't believe her. Hee hee. Qing Ju laughed foolishly. He did not dare to anger Leng Ruoxue anymore. "I'll go and unseal Qing Ju." The helpless Leng Ruoxue greeted the crowd and entered the bracelet. Inside the bangle, Leng Ruoxue arrived at the seal. After casting a few spells, the space within the bangle immediately started to shake. After a short period of shaking, the space expanded by several times and the spirit chi became denser. At the same time, a few more images appeared in Leng Ruoxue's mind. Those images were the scenes of her master being persecuted by the foggy rippling B***TCH. When those scenes flashed through Leng Ruoxue's mind like a movie, she understood everything. In fact, it was just as the demon and Huan Chen had said. In the face of fog ice, who could be considered to have been raised by him, master could not do anything. After taking a few deep breaths of fresh air, Leng Ruoxue turned around calmly. When she did not find any traces of Qing Ju, she guessed that Qing Ju must have gone to guard his place. When he arrived at the land that had also expanded several times, he saw that Qing Ju had already begun to cultivate the land diligently. The newly vacated land was scattered with vegetable seeds and medicinal herb seeds. The little black dog, who had been Qing Ju's follower, was jumping around excitedly. Seeing these two, Leng Ruoxue's head was filled with black lines. She could not help but carry green vessel and ask, "Qing Ju, have you recovered your strength?" "Yes." Qing Ju nodded and struggled to leave Leng Ruoxue's embrace. However, Leng Ruoxue hugged him tightly and asked, "What new ability do you have now?" "Copy." Qing Ju replied straightforwardly and continued to try to get rid of Leng Ruoxue. "Copy? What do you mean by that?" Leng Ruoxue didn't understand, so she naturally didn't plan on letting him off. "What I mean is, I know everything that sister knows. I can also copy what others know." Qing Ju explained simply, and then said, "Sister, let me down, I want to farm." Leng Ruoxue could not help but wipe the cold sweat off her forehead and put Green Vessel down. Although she still did not fully understand what Qing Ju was saying, she still chose to leave when she saw that Qing Ju was obviously not in the mood to talk to her. Outside, the demon and the others had been waiting. Seeing that Leng Ruoxue had come out, Uncle Long asked impatiently, Shui, what new ability did Green Vessel gain after the seal was broken? He said copy. Leng Ruoxue replied. Is this ability useful? Everyone was quite surprised. It should be useful, right? Leng Ruoxue wasn't sure. However, since this was an ability that could only be obtained after breaking the last seal, it shouldn't be useless. Hee. Girl, don't worry. This ability of his is very useful. When Song heard Leng Ruoxue's words, he spoke with a face full of hatred. As soon as he said this, everyone's eyes were instantly attracted, and all of them had an expression of seeking answers. You know? Even though Leng Ruoxue knew that it was a wise decision, her face was still filled with hope. This ability is so annoying, Azure said through gritted teeth. After hearing the word copy, it remembered that the idiot Green Vessel had such an ability that it hated the most. However, seeing that Nyo did not know much about it, it still explained to her, this ability can copy everything we have, whether it's our own skills or anything else. It can completely copy everything. Fortunately, he can only copy 80% of what we have. Otherwise, we'd be depressed to death. Of course, the 80% it mentioned was only in terms of strength, and the rest was not included. Moreover, Song didn't explain it too clearly. After all, there were some things that they wouldn't understand even if they were explained. However, if Nyo wants to unseal the Phoenix Clan, White Tiger Clan, and Dragon Clan, then that idiot's ability just happens to be useful. Azure said. You mean, let him help me break the formation? Leng Ruoxue asked with uncertainty. Yes. He was born from the primordial chaos. Although he is very weak, he is still an innate chaotic divine artifact and the heart of the divine realm. Thus, with his help, the Rhyme Bitch's formation will be nothing. However, the formation has to be broken in 3 places at the same time, so we're still missing one person. As Tsang spoke, he suddenly became worried. Can't Shui Mo do it? What is the heart of the divine realm? Leng Ruoxue, Uncle Long, and the rest asked in unison. Shui Mo's strength is still lacking. I'm afraid he won't have enough spiritual qi. Azure thought for a moment before explaining, it's the heart of the divine realm. Without him, the operation of the divine realm will become a problem. Of course, I'm referring to the situation where that idiot Qing Ju is dead. Generally speaking, as long as he's not dead, there won't be any problems with the divine realm. If there's no problem with the divine realm, then there naturally won't be any problems with all the spaces. Oh. Everyone understood. Shui Mo, who was sitting in the corner, burst into tears when he heard Song say that his strength was still lacking. He was a reverent god. Don't be so harsh, okay? However, he didn't dare to refute Azure's words. So, since the other party said that his strength was weak, then so be it. In any case, compared to Azure, his strength was indeed very weak. Thinking about this, Shui Mo was furious. Your sister. Who are you calling weak? Who's the idiot? At this time, an angry voice rang in everyone's ears, and then a little doll appeared out of thin air. When Shui Mo heard this voice, he felt very kind. Although he knew that this child was not speaking up for him, he felt that he had a little partner now. Stupid cat, you dare to speak ill of me while I'm not here. Do you think I'm dead? Qing Ju jumped in front of Tsang and waved his little fist. I'll just take it that you're dead, what do you think? Your reflex arc is pretty long, I've already said it for a while before you jumped out. Tsang said with a look of disdain, his eyes seemed to say, you're just a noob. It took so long for him to jump out. If you're not a noob, then who is? Your sister. I'm farming. I don't have time to deal with you. Qing Ju Hua shouted. When she heard Qing Ju confidently say that he was farming, Leng Ruoxue felt as if lightning was striking her. Qing Ju. I'm a high-end artifact spirit, can you not always talk about farming? No matter how she heard it, she still felt uncomfortable. Uncle Long and the others were also in a mess. Originally, it was already lively enough with Tsang going against the mistress of the dark world. Now, there was another green vessel. This was the rhythm of the world falling into chaos. Their days in the future would probably be in deep waters and suffering. It had to be said that Uncle Long and the others had found out the truth. After Green Vessel had recovered its full strength and could leave the bracelet, the outside world had indeed been lively for a while. Green Vessel, who had not had the chance to leave the bracelet for a long time, had also fully carried out the spirit of exploration and studied the divine world thoroughly. However, while he was happy, many people in the immortal realm were not. At this moment, although Uncle Long and the rest had expected this, they did not expect Green Vessel to be so destructive. After all, in everyone's eyes, Green Vessel was still a little kid. Since you're farming, why did you come out now? Azure smiled and continued to provoke him. I'm happy, it's none of your business. Qing Ju glared at Tsang viciously before he transformed into an obedient little doll and threw himself into Leng Ruoxue's arms. He suggested, sister, count me in to solve the formation. As for the other candidate, let this damn cat do it. Your sister. I don't know how to dispel the formation. Exploding hair Tsang roared. It's alright, you can get this little Qilin to help you. Azure pointed at Shui Mo, who was pretending to be transparent. Hearing Qing Ju call him Little Kailan, Shui Mo was filled with grief and indignation again. They were all bullying him. After all, he was an ancestor of the Qilin race. In the mouth of a cat and a little baby, he was just a little guy. How could he live? Previous chapter. How do I break the feeling of knocking my head against the wall? Moreover, while he was depressed, he also received many sympathetic gazes, which made him quite speechless. He didn't need anyone's sympathy. He really didn't need it. Whoa. Azure, I'll leave it to you. After hearing Qing Ju's suggestion, Leng Ruoxue was afraid that Song would object, so she quickly added. Girl, don't blame me if something happens. Azure said with a cautious expression. I don't blame you. Leng Ruoxue wiped away her sweat and thought, with Shui Mo watching, nothing big will happen. However, when the others heard his words, they were so frightened that their faces changed. These words. Why did they sound so uncertain? Qing Ju, you're out? At this moment, an excited voice rang out. Then, a little Qilin ran over excitedly. Bing Yao, why are you still a small ball? Qing Ju looked at Bing Yi and asked in confusion. You haven't grown up either. Bing Yao said weakly. I'm the spirit of the artifact. Qing Ju was a little embarrassed. Could he say that his sister would not hug him anymore when he grew up? Could he say it? That was why he didn't want to grow up. He wanted to be like this forever. I'm beastie. Bing Yao said dumbly. Qing Ju was silent. He did not mean it that way. Bing Yao, I'll show you someone, Qing Ju said after sighing. What? Bing Yao blinked and looked at Qing Ju in confusion. With a thought, Green Vessel moved a young man out of the bracelet. Master. I've missed you so much. As soon as Bing Yao saw the young man, she immediately pounced toward him. Bing Yao, I also missed you. Wu hugged Bing Yao's small body tightly and said softly. Wu, you finally recovered. Leng Ruoxue felt at ease when she saw Wu's condition. A few years ago, she had already refined a pill for Wu that could help him. After that, Wu had been in seclusion. Now that he had come out of seclusion, he was naturally happy for him. Schwapper, thank you. Wu Yi said gratefully. Don't mention it, we're all family. Leng Ruoxue laughed. Right. We're on the same side. Wu Happy said. Detestable. Let go of my son. Suddenly, an angry voice rang out again, giving everyone a big fright. Without looking back, everyone knew that it was Ice Spirit. As expected, Bingpa quickly rushed over and grabbed the Ice Phoenix from Wu's arms. He held it tightly in his arms, as if he was afraid that Wu would snatch his son away from him. When Wu saw this, she was dumbfounded and looked at Leng Ruoxue in confusion. What was going on? Did something happen when he wasn't around? Why was there someone snatching the beastie from him the moment he came out? Wait a minute. Did this man just say to let go of his son? His son was Bing Yao? Seeing Wu's bewilderment, Leng Ruoxue smiled and introduced him to them. Don't fight. One of you is the Ice Phoenix's father, and the other is its master. You're all on the same side. How can Bing Yao have a father? After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Wu asked in a daze. When everyone heard this, they were so scared that their little hearts trembled. Although most people didn't know Wu, even Master Ning and the Great Elder who knew him had a bad feeling about Wu's words. This was definitely the rhythm of drawing hatred. Sure enough, Ice Soul's face darkened and he suddenly shouted, why doesn't Bing Yao have a father? Don't tell me you didn't jump out of a rock. I didn't mean it that way. I mean, I thought that Bing Yi was an orphan. Knowing that he had said the wrong thing, Wu hurriedly explained. At the same time, he felt depressed. Could it be that after being in seclusion for a long time, his IQ had dropped sharply? Otherwise, how could he say such low IQ words? It was a sad and unkind place. After hearing Wu's explanation, Bing Pio's anger dissipated. After all, it was not wrong for her to think so. More importantly, Bing Yao's master was his son's savior, so he was only grateful. Ice Spirit thought for a while and said, little guy, my son and I will follow you from now on. Take in the small and give the big? Unblinking blinked in disbelief. Since it was Bing Yao's father, it must be an adult Qilin. Did he earn big? This was definitely a pie in the sky. Of course, Wu wouldn't be stupid enough to reject such a good deal. However, he was so shocked that he didn't manage to react for a moment. Kid, quickly agree. Senior Ice Soul is the forefather of the Qilin clan. You'll have someone to back you up in the future. Seeing that nothing was still in a daze, Master Ning urged anxiously. Senior Ice Spirit, please take care of me. After Master Ning's reminder, he immediately said. Don't worry. I'll take care of you for the sake of my son. Ice Spirit nodded. Ice Spirit had heard a lot about this kid from his son, so he had a good impression of him. Therefore, he was not worried about his son following him. Of course, he had to follow his son as well. After all, his son was still weak, and his master was not that strong. Little fellow, isn't it time for you to advance? Ice Spirit reminded Wuji when she felt Wuji was full of spiritual qi. Arg. I almost forgot. Where is the most suitable place to advance? Wu Hui looked at Leng Ruoxue and asked nervously. I'll bring you there. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly when she saw how nervous Wu was. He brought Wu to the place where she had broken through previously. Leng Ruoxue and the others stood at the side and watched. After that, the laws of heaven and earth descended. Why does this kid look so silly? Ice Spirit couldn't help but ask as she looked at Wu, who was breaking through. He's just too nervous. After all, it's his first time meeting the parents. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. I'm not a ferocious beast. Ice Spirit said unhappily. When they heard this, Leng Ruoxue and the others looked deeply at Bingpo. They all thought in unison, Senior, are you even scarier than a flood or a ferocious beast? Unfortunately, the person involved didn't think so at all. After a long time, he finally completed his rank up and continued to advance several levels, directly advancing to the Divine Emperor realm. Looking at his strength, Ice Spirit felt that it was not satisfactory, but he was satisfied with it. After all, it wasn't easy to advance to Reverend God level. As Ice Spirit continued to judge Wu with her fastidious eyes, Wu gradually calmed down. After a while, Leng Ruoxue especially held a small celebration party for Wu and formally introduced him to the crowd. The next day, Wu Xiang bade farewell to Leng Ruoxue and planned to take a walk around the divine world. If Wu had such thoughts, Leng Ruoxue would not stop her. She knew that for her son, Ice Spirit would follow her. With Ice Spirit as her backing, no matter where Wu went, there would be no problem. If anything were to happen, it would be someone else who would be in trouble. After sending off a few people, Leng Ruoxue decided to head to the city of abandoned ruins again. Previously, due to her insufficient strength, she was unable to break the seals on the White Tiger, Dragon and Phoenix race. This time around, she must definitely rescue the beast men from these three races. The moment they heard that Leng Ruoxue was going to save the beast men of the three tribes, Feng Zhan and the rest were instantly excited. Even the mother parasol tree, who had not appeared for a long time, looked at Leng Ruoxue affectionately, like a little girl who had just experienced love. Leng Ruoxue was so frightened by the mother parasol tree's fervent gaze that her heart trembled. After preparing the materials that she would need, she left Demon City with the demon, Uncle Dragon, and the rest. Lu Fan was overjoyed when he arrived at the city of abandoned ruins. He was especially friendly when he saw everyone. After finding out that Leng Ruoxue and the rest had specially come to dispel the array, he immediately brought them to the location of the seal. Leng Ruoxue and Qing Ju were each in charge of a formation, while Tsang and Shui Mo were in charge of another. When Lu Fan saw the configuration, he was so shocked that his jaw almost fell off. He could understand why Leng Ruoxue and his master had occupied one area each, but how could a little kid occupy one of the sealed areas? Could it be that this little kid also knew how to dispel the formation? Oh my god! When did the little kids of the divine realm become so powerful? Seeing that Lu Fan was looking at him with surprise, and amazement, Qing Ju was a little angry. What are you looking at? I don't see any children. It was really worrying. He didn't want to be surrounded by people like a rare animal. Lu Fan looked away and said carefully, it's not that I haven't seen it before, but I've never seen someone as young as you take on such a great responsibility. Humph. I've lived for hundreds of billions of years, how am I small? Qing Ju said angrily. Ugh. Lu Fan was roaring in his heart. Did the divine world have hundreds of billions of years? It didn't seem like it. However, the people around Leng Ruoxue were not simple people, so Lu Fan was smart enough not to say these words. However, how could Qing Ju not understand what he was thinking? He said with a look of disdain, little guy, I'll tell you the truth. There's already this grandpa before the divine realm. One could imagine how crazy Lu Fan was to be called a little guy by a little boy. Forget it, I won't argue with a little kid, or else I'll be laughed at. Lu Fan consoled himself. At this moment, Qing Ju shouted again, your sister. I'm the one who shouldn't argue with you. This time, Lu Fan was completely horrified. Woo. He knew that Leng Ruoxue would not have an ordinary child by her side. Look, this little fellow actually knew what he was thinking. Did he want to die? Lu Fan was worried. No one would believe that a divine lord was frightened by a baby. Uncle Long, who had witnessed this scene, patted Lu Fan's shoulder sympathetically and comforted him. Lu Fan. Calm down, Qing Ju is not a child in the ordinary sense. Yes, I can tell. Lu Fan said in tears. Children from ordinary families would not be so devilish. Now, Lu Fan was suddenly glad that he had surrendered. If not, when Leng Ruoxue and Wu Jing fought, they would only become cannon fodder. This time, he was surprised to find that Leng Ruoxue's strength had become even more unfathomable. Or rather, it could be said that Leng Ruoxue's strength had returned to its original state and was undetectable by others. In addition, there was an irresistible affinity with her that made people involuntarily want to get close to her. However, the other party was his master's master, so he was afraid to get close to her. While Lu Fan was thinking to himself, Green Vessel had already received Leng Ruoxue's message. The three of them started to break the formation at the same time and kept in contact. This god-binding great array had to be carried out simultaneously, especially when they reached the eye of the array. They had to pay more attention to the time progress between the three arrays. If there was a slight mistake, not only would all their previous efforts be in vain, but it would also alarm the fog ice. Even if the fog was alarmed, she would not be able to break in for a while with the defense formation outside the city of abandoned ruins. However, her appearance would always make people feel uncomfortable, so it was better for her not to appear. Be it Green Vessel or Tsang, they were connected to Leng Ruoxue's mind. Hence, it was much more convenient for the three of them to work together to break the formation. With Green Vessel's ability to copy, Green Vessel was basically at the same time as Leng Ruoxue. However, nothing major happened to Tsang, but small accidents happened frequently. Xue Mo, who was guiding by the side, was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat and almost fainted a few times. Azure was very calm, comforting Xue Mo not to be afraid and telling him how to solve the formation after thinking it through. Xue Mo wanted to bang his head against the wall again. How could he not be afraid? Tsang almost placed the jingsher in the wrong place several times, scaring him so much that his heart almost stopped, but Tsang was as if nothing had happened, extremely indifferent. Tsang had even told him that it was fine and that he could just undo it again. Dear, almost 1/6 of the solution had been removed. It would only be a waste of manpower, material resources, and financial resources to start all over again. After his research, he found out that this god-binding array was definitely an array that could burn crystal stones. This was because a god-binding array required a large amount of top-grade crystal stones, whether it was to set up an array or to break it. When the fog ripple formation was first set up, it used seemingly gentle water attribute top-grade crystals. If they were to break the formation, they would need earth attribute top-grade crystals to achieve the effect of mutual promotion and restraint. The number of top-grade earth attribute crystals they had was limited. It could be said that if they were to start all over again, they would not have enough crystals. Therefore, Xue Mo's heart was in his throat with every step. Especially when he saw Tsang's nonchalant look, Xue Mo was really annoyed. Unfortunately, he was not strong enough. Woo. Otherwise, he wouldn't be willing to see Tsang scare him here. At this moment, he deeply understood the true meaning of the saying, it's better to rely on yourself than on others. Xue Mo was nervous and Azure had no choice but to get serious. In fact, he really didn't think there was a need to be so nervous. Wasn't it just solving an array? So what if he failed? It did not have the thought of saving the Dragon Clan, White Tiger Clan, and Phoenix Clan. It could be said that in the entire firmament, other than Leng Ruoxue, there were not many things that could make it care. However, for Leng Ruoxue's sake, it felt that it was better to be serious. Otherwise, Nyo would be angry. With the thought of making Nyo happy, Tsang suddenly became more careful. Seeing this, Xue Mo was quite pleased. Tsang's interest was piqued when he saw that 2 of the 6-pointed star's corners had dimmed. According to Xue Mo's explanation, the 6-pointed star had 6 corners. They had to destroy the 6 corners first before they could destroy the eye of the formation together. Only then could they truly dispel the god-binding formation. The eye of the god-binding formation was still flashing red, which meant that the formation was still operating normally. After an unknown period of time, the 4 corners of the hexagram had been removed. However, as each corner of the array dimmed, the time required to remove each corner grew longer. By the time they removed the 5th corner, it had taken them about 5 days. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue, Qingju, and Tsang, who were responsible for removing the array, were already feeling a little tired. Under normal circumstances, the difficulty of breaking through was at least 3 times that of setting up a formation. However, the god-binding formation that Wu Xian had set up was a top-notch formation. It was also a combination of 3 formations. Hence, the difficulty was 9 times higher. Even though Leng Ruoxue had already perfected her heaven-defying art, she still felt a strain on her. Green Vessel and Azure were the same. Previous chapter. After resting for a while and taking a few healing pills, the 3 of them continued to dismantle the formation. After removing the last horn, the formation eye in the center of the formation seemed to have realized something and started to flicker. Leng Ruoxue felt that something was amiss and immediately turned to the demon. Demon, you go to the city lord's mansion and take charge. All right. The demon nodded and left Leng Ruoxue's side reluctantly. At the same time, Wu Xiao, who was cultivating in the secret chamber of the Divine Lord's palace in Imperial City, suddenly opened her beautiful eyes. Then, her eyes turned cold and she disappeared from the secret chamber. By the time she arrived at the city of abandoned ruins, Leng Ruoxue and the other 2 had already broken through the last corner of the 6-pointed star god-binding array. Meanwhile, the eye of the array in the center of the array suddenly became violent. The formation's eye was set up by Wu Yan with her heart's blood and was naturally connected to her mind. Thus, she was aware of the situation within the formation. What she didn't expect was that Leng Ruoxue would be able to break the god-binding formation to such an extent in such a short period of time. This caused her to be secretly shocked, but more than that, she was going crazy. However, as she stood outside the city gate of the city of abandoned ruins, her beautiful eyes glared at the defense formation in the sky. She felt a headache. The pain of the formation's backlash was still fresh in her mind, so she did not dare to act rashly. At this time, in addition to the evildoers in the city lord's mansion, Uncle Long and the others had also rushed back to the city lord's mansion. They couldn't help but feel a little worried when they saw Wu Xian's frantic appearance through the light screen. If the other party wanted to force his way in, he didn't know if the formation could defend against it. However, they stared nervously at the light screen for a long time, but didn't see any movement from Wu Xian. This made Uncle Long and the others deeply suspicious. Why isn't she doing anything? What are you waiting for? Lu Fan asked in surprise. He didn't think that Wu Han would have a more powerful helper, but the other party just stood outside without moving, which was enough to make him upset. She's considering the pros and cons. The demon said. If I were her, I wouldn't care about the matters here anymore. After all, even if the Phoenix, Dragon and White Tiger race were to be rescued, they wouldn't be a threat to her at all. Her only enemy is Xue. The demon added. Everyone nodded and hoped so. After all, they were not ready to make a move yet. In reality, Wu Xian's thoughts were similar to the demon's. She was very clear that since Leng Ruoxue had already broken through most of the god-binding great array, no matter how she tried to salvage it, it would be useless. Besides, she would have to pay a painful price if she wanted to enter the city of forsaken ruins to stop Leng Ruoxue's actions. Now, she was not sure of Leng Ruoxue's strength, so she did not dare to act rashly. But if she didn't go in, what would happen to her clone? When she thought about how her clone had most likely fallen into Leng Ruoxue's hands, she immediately went crazy. Through the light screen, the demon and the others saw that Wu Xiao was calm and composed for a moment and then stomped her feet in anger the next moment. They immediately concluded that this woman was crazy. Of course, Wu Jing wasn't really crazy, but she was also quite angry. However, she knew that her clone was still alive. It was just that her strength had not fully recovered. Otherwise, she could have directly summoned her clone back. However, she had no choice at this moment because she had tried before, but it was a pity that someone had blocked her. Without even guessing, Fog could imagine that the one who did this was either Leng Ruoxue or Tsang. Of course, Azure's face was bigger. Thinking of this, Wu Chen, who had given up on the City of Desolation, returned to the Divine Master's estate gloomily. She summoned her confidant and gave her some instructions. Then, she continued her closed-door cultivation. Uncle Long and the others didn't dare to let their guard down when they saw Wu Xian leaving. The main reason was that none of them had expected Wu Xian to give up attacking the city so easily. This was not like her. It's fine now. I'm going to find Shui. The demon was calmer than any of them. After saying that, he went to the place where Leng Ruoxue was breaking the array to accompany her. As they silently watched Leng Ruoxue fight to the death with the array core, the surrounding evildoers and beasts did not even dare to breathe loudly, afraid that they would disturb her. On the other side, other than Green Vessel who was still rather relaxed, Tsang was already in a mess. Seeing Tsang like this, Shui Mo didn't dare to say anything. He could only remind her from time to time. This was the most critical moment. He didn't dare to disturb Tsang Ho when he taught her how to break the formation core, but his heart was in his throat. This was even more exciting than breaking the formation himself. After fighting with the formation eye for a long time and feeling that it was about time, Tsang did not make any more big movements and focused on waiting for Leng Ruoxue's orders. At the same time, he kept stuffing spiritual energy recovery pills into his mouth. At the same time, Green Vessel was also waiting for Leng Ruoxue's orders. Compared to these two old men who had lived for so many years, Leng Ruoxue's foundation was too shallow. She had just completed the great circle of the heaven-defying art, and the spiritual energy in her body had not fully recovered. After using up a lot of it to break the array, she felt that her spiritual energy was running out. After taking a few spiritual energy recovery pills, the spiritual energy in Leng Ruoxue's body increased by a little. Feeling depressed, she ate a few more bottles without hesitation. Lu Fan was so scared that his face turned pale. Were they eating medicinal pills? After living for so long, this was the first time he had seen someone eat medicinal pills in such a way. However, Leng Ruoxue completely ignored the surprised gazes in front of her. After swallowing a few bottles of elixirs, she did some calculations and felt that the spiritual chi should be enough to break the array eye. He sent a signal to Green Vessel and Azure, and the three of them attacked the blood-red formation core together. The formation's eye had already realized that it didn't have long to live, so it carried out a tenacious resistance. Under the array's resistance, it had indeed created quite a bit of trouble for Leng Ruoxue and the other two. Fortunately, the three of them were people with strong willpower and belonged to the type of people who would become more courageous the more they were defeated. Hence, the array's stubborn resistance had instead aroused their fighting spirit. In the end, in this battle of courage and determination, the array's eye was finally defeated. As the last bit of light from the hexagram dimmed, the entire god-binding formation finally disappeared before everyone's eyes. Leng Ruoxue, Qing Ju, and Tsang were so tired that they laid on the ground. The three of them were listless like frosted eggplants. When the demon saw Leng Ruoxue's state, he immediately hugged her in his arms with heartache. Uncle Long also carried Green Vessel, but no one dared to touch Green. Lying on the cold ground, Tsang felt extremely miserable. Come and hug it. It had no strength left. Even in his dreams, Tsang had never thought that breaking the formation could make him so tired. This really made him sad. What made him even sadder was that the people around him were only looking at him with a pair of innocent eyes, but no one cared about him. Thinking of his pitiful situation, Tsang burst into tears. At this moment, the original formation suddenly collapsed. Everyone was instantly shocked and silently gasped. Senior Tsang was getting more and more powerful, he could make the ground collapse just by crying. In fact, their thoughts made Azure feel very wronged. This had nothing to do with him, okay? It was obvious that after the array was broken, the secret chamber that was suppressed by the array could no longer be suppressed. So, don't blame it for every bad thing, okay? While Azure was feeling depressed, a few white tigers burrowed out from the ground. The white tigers' originally snow-white fur had turned black and gray, and some places were even bald. Their bodies were very weak, and they were trembling as they walked. However, when they felt the pressure on their heads disappear, they did not dare to delay and ran out. Seeing Shui Mo and the others, a dirty white tiger asked, "It was you guys who saved our white tiger clan? You're the white tiger king?" Shui Mo's eyes widened as he looked at the white tiger in disbelief. In his memory, the white tiger king was the most narcissistic and vain one. Now that it had become like this, could it take it? However, Shui Mo was overthinking. Even if the white tiger king was vain, it still depended on the time and place. After being locked up and suppressed for countless years, no matter how much she loved beauty, she probably didn't have the mood to do so. After being locked up for countless days and nights, the only thought it had was to survive. Just as the high priest of the Phoenix tribe had said, they would leave this place sooner or later. Therefore, their primary goal was to stay alive. Although it had never liked to listen to that fraud's words, it could not deny that what that fraud said was right. Today, their White Tiger clan finally saw the light of day again. Although it was still dark outside the underground secret room, the air was fresh. How long had it been since they had breathed in fresh air? After taking a few deep breaths of fresh air, the White Tiger King said with a look of admiration, "I can't believe that there are still people who recognize me after being locked up for so long." Hearing this, Xue Mo really wanted to say that he didn't know him. But now, it was obvious that this old white tiger didn't recognize him. "I'm Xue Mo." Xue Mo introduced himself with a sigh. "Arg. You're little Xue Mo. Hee, I won't be able to recognize you even if you turn into a human." The White Tiger King laughed pervertedly. Xue Mo's forehead was covered in sweat. He didn't know this guy, definitely not. Xue Mo felt so embarrassed. Why would he run to the place where the White Tiger race was locked up in a fit of hot-headedness? He must have opened his eyes in the wrong way today, otherwise he wouldn't have made such a choice. Xue Mo was filled with regret. However, the White Tiger King didn't seem to notice Xue Mo's conflicted thoughts. Instead, it took a step forward and stretched out its huge claw, wanting to touch Xue Mo and take a good look at him. However, just as its claws were about to touch Xue Mo, a deafening shriek was heard, "Arg! My tail!" Then, Xue Mo saw a flash of white light and it pounced on the White Tiger Patriarch. In the blink of an eye, all the fur on the White Tiger King's body was plucked out. There were also countless claw marks on its body, and blood was flowing out. On the other hand, the White Tiger King was howling in pain. However, it was currently being suppressed by the Azure and could not move at all. Although the two beasts were a little weak, the Azure bloodline's level was above the White Tiger King's. Thus, with a single wave of its pressure, the White Tiger King could only let the other party bully it and did not dare to act rashly. The White Tiger King was extremely worried. What kind of beast was it? It didn't see clearly at all and was beaten down. Sob. It had just escaped from the sea of suffering, how could it fall into the demonic claws of a certain beast so quickly? How could he let the White Tiger King live? The other white tigers saw that their king was being attacked and were about to step forward, but they saw Tsang raise a small paw and gently blow at the gray fur that was still stuck between the claws. He glanced at them again, and the white tigers instantly didn't dare to move. One must know that although the White Tiger clan had been suppressed for a long time and their strength had been greatly reduced, the pressure was still there. But now, they were completely suppressed by a cat. Even if it was a white tiger with a strong will, it would not be able to withstand such a serious blow, right? This really hurt the White Tiger clan's pride too much. The few white tigers present were all figures of the White Tiger race's ancestors. Now that they had been suppressed in a single move, it was simply an unprecedented scene. Furthermore, it didn't seem like they had done anything. How did the king get attacked? That's right, the king stepped on this kitten's tail. "Senior, can you please let King go? It didn't do it on purpose." A rather tactful white tiger pleaded and winked at Xue Mo. It was obvious that Xue Mo recognized this cat, but Xue Mo replied with a helpless expression. After offending Senior Tsang, other than Leng Ruoxue, no one else would be able to ask for this favor. He was starting to pity the White Tiger King. "I just wanted to touch him, but I accidentally stepped on Senior Tsang's tail." Sigh. He really didn't know what to say. It could only be said that the White Tiger King was really unlucky. When Azure heard the other white tiger's plea, he only snorted coldly and arrogantly used the white tiger on top of him as a meat cushion, lying on top of it with ease. Seeing this, the white tigers could only look at their king with pity and depression. The White Tiger King wanted to cry. It couldn't understand why this was happening. At the same time, Leng Ruoxue's side was bustling with activity, earning many people's tears. Her place happened to be the place where the Phoenix clan was imprisoned, and the majority of her beasts were phoenixes. Therefore, after breaking the seal and rescuing all the phoenixes who had been suppressed, the phoenixes hugged each other and held their heads in pain. When they had cried enough, they suddenly remembered that they had not thanked their savior yet. The entire Feng clan, led by Feng Wu, felt extremely ashamed. They quickly went to Leng Ruoxue and knelt down in unison. "Thank you, master, for saving my life. We were a little slow just now, please forgive us." "It's okay, I understand." Why would Leng Ruoxue pick a fight with them? She was still weak. Looking at the phoenix that was speaking, Leng Ruoxue guessed that it should be the Phoenix King. This Phoenix King was indeed much stronger than the one in the immortal realm. At least, they were not on the same level in terms of temperament. However, after being suppressed for so long, this Phoenix King's strength was already so low that it was unbearable to look at. Just as Leng Ruoxue was thinking about how to quickly restore these phoenixes' powers, she felt the rules of the contract descend. The phoenixes that were rescued had taken the initiative to recognize their master. Leng Ruoxue did not expect them to be so forthright, but she immediately felt at ease. The mother parasol tree often contacted the Phoenix King, so it was only natural that she knew about her situation. As for Green Vessel's side, as compared to the bustling scene at Leng Ruoxue's side, Tsang's side was speechless, and his side was relatively quiet. After the dragon clan was rescued, they were at a loss for how to react and they saw that the one who saved them was actually a little baby. Moreover, the dragon clan had some cold-blooded characteristics. Therefore, all the humans and beasts present were silent and looked at each other with big eyes. Qing Ju didn't like to speak either. He just lay in Uncle Long's arms and closed his eyes without saying a word. Previous chapter. He was too tired. While they were acknowledging their relatives and glaring at each other, Wu Xian, who was far away in the secret chamber of the God Lord's estate, spat out another mouthful of blood. He was once again devoured by the array. She knew that Leng Ruoxue and the rest had already released the God-binding array and rescued the dragon, phoenix and white tiger race. Although she hated it. But she was powerless to stop it now. He didn't care about the three clans. At this moment, she could clearly sense a sense of danger. She felt that if she did not recover her powers as soon as possible, she would not be able to gain an advantage in the confrontation with Leng Ruoxue. This was something she absolutely could not tolerate. Wu Xian smashed the few decorations in the secret room into pieces in a frenzy. Then, she spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood before she calmed down. After calming down for a long time, she decided to continue healing. Men! Bring my food in. Wu Xian loudly ordered. In less than a minute, a few men in black escorted dozens of men and women into the secret room. Looking at the food brought in, Wu Yan was not very satisfied. In fact, what she wanted to eat the most was the strong, but the strong were extremely precious, so she could not bear to eat them. Therefore, she could only eat these humans who did not taste very good. He extended a vine and wrapped it around one of the men, then stabbed the sharp thorn into the man's body. In an instant, the man's originally plump body shriveled up. This scene frightened the other men and women who were brought in, and the less courageous ones even fainted. A bunch of useless trash. It's your honor to be my food. Ripple's beautiful eyes swept across the area, looking at the ants present. Who are you? The one who spoke was actually a woman. Although her expression was also very ugly, she still mustered up the courage to ask. I am God Lord Fog Ripple. Ripple laughed as she replied. No. This was impossible. Lady Wu Xian is the lord of the divine realm, how could she be so vicious? The woman's face was filled with disbelief. The lord of the divine realm? That's right, if it was any other time, I wouldn't have laid my hands on the two of you. If you want to blame someone, then blame Leng Ruoxue. Who asked her to cause me to be injured and even pose a great threat to me? If I don't eat you, how can I recover my strength? Wu Xian said as if it was a matter of course. The woman had heard of Leng Ruoxue's name before, but she did not agree with Wu Xian's words. She did not expect that a divine master would be so shameless. This was truly too shocking. And it was so disappointing. After hearing Wu Zhao's words, the woman immediately closed her mouth and no longer spoke. She deeply felt that there was no reason to reason with a lunatic. Seeing that the other party didn't speak and even showed her a disdainful look, Fog Ripple couldn't help but burn with anger. Next, she stretched out the vine towards the woman, who closed her eyes and waited silently. Who knew that Fog Ripple would suddenly change direction and target the person next to the woman? Since you're not afraid of death, I'll let you die last. Wu Xian laughed wildly. When the woman heard this, she wanted to call her a lunatic, but she gave up after thinking about it. She deeply felt that if she really scolded him, she was afraid that it would only make this lunatic, Wu Yan, more and more proud. However, as the number of strangers around her slowly decreased, no matter how strong the woman's will was, she finally couldn't take it and collapsed. Quickly eat me. Quickly eat me. A Tao that a woman couldn't stand. This was really too torturous. She really regretted it. Why did she have to provoke this lunatic? As you wish. Wu Xian laughed complacently and extended the rattan towards the woman. Then, she ordered her subordinates, there are too few people. They're not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. Continue to arrest people for me. Yes. The subordinate of the man in black immediately responded and turned to leave. On the other side, after Leng Ruoxue had recovered a little, she brought the group and the phoenixes to look for Green Vessel and Tsang. When he arrived at Qing Ju's place, he saw Qing Ju and the rest staring at the old dragons. The atmosphere was rather strange. What's the situation? Leng Ruoxue asked directly. Sister, these old dragons don't believe that I saved them, so they're competing with me to see whose eyes are bigger. However, I don't have the energy to compete with them. I'm so tired and I want to sleep. Qing Ju complained. Yes, I want to sleep too. Leng Ruoxue gently touched Qing Ju's head. Old Phoenix, you guys are out too. Suddenly, Leng Ruoxue and the others heard a surprised voice. Then, they saw Feng Wu's roar, your sister. Who are you calling Old Phoenix? I'm much younger than you stinky dragon. Hearing this, Leng Ruoxue and the others, who had always thought that Feng Wu was an elegant and noble man, were all dumbfounded. This was Feng Wu? Image. Pay attention to your image. Don't be like a shrew, okay? The dragon reminded. You're the shrew, your whole family are shrews. Feng Wu hadn't even reacted to the dragon's words when Feng Zhan gave up. Who are you? You dare to scold me? A certain dragon's face was filled with disbelief, as if he had heard something he shouldn't have said. Feng Wu, on the other hand, smiled in satisfaction and said, Old dragon, this is my son. After saying this, she turned around and touched the feathers on Feng Zhan's body. She praised, good son, well scolded. Scolded. Son? The dragon stammered. As far as he knew, his rival only had 5 daughters and 1 son. Didn't he die? Seeing through the dragon's thoughts, the Phoenix King rolled her eyes at him and said, "How can my bloodline die so easily? Haven't you heard of the nirvana of the phoenix?" Of course, Fengzhan wasn't a phoenix that had gone through nirvana. Although it was still an egg at that time, and it was extremely dangerous to be exiled, she believed that no matter how difficult the environment was, her son would definitely be able to survive. As it turned out, its son did not disappoint it. Not only did he successfully find a master, but he had also advanced to the Venerate Emperor level. Its son had already become its greatest pride. When the dragon heard this, he had to admit that the Phoenix tribe was indeed more fortunate than the dragon tribe. After watching them bicker for a while, Leng Ruoxue then led the rest of the group to look for Tsang. However, when they arrived at Tsang's place, Leng Ruoxue, the beasts, and the others were all speechless. Putting aside how miserable the White Tiger clan was, just looking at how they were currently being oppressed by Azure, it was definitely enough to kill the other two clans in seconds. Old White Cat, you're being bullied by a little cat. TSK, what a tragedy. A certain dragon saw a small white cat lying on the White Tiger King's body, forming a sharp contrast with the White Tiger King's dirty appearance, and couldn't help but laugh and make fun of it. Old Earthworm, you're still alive? The White Tiger King's eyelids twitched as he spoke. At this moment, it was already quite calm because it was indeed no match for this cat. At the same time, he also sighed. He hadn't appeared in the immortal realm for too long. It was really like a tiger falling into the sun and being bullied by a cat. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Of course I'm still alive. I'm sorry to disappoint you. A certain dragon said with a smile. Then, he walked in front of Azure and praised, "Little kitty, you did well. You deserve praise." Hearing this, Azure raised his head and glanced at the dragon, then spat out a word. "Get lost." The dragon was dumbfounded. It was being told to get lost by a cat? This really hurt the dragon's pride. Shui Mo couldn't help but chuckle at the sight of the stunned dragon. "Human, what are you laughing at?" The dragon said rudely. "Blind dragon, you're the human." Shui Mo's face darkened. So it's not a human. The dragon was not too stupid and quickly reacted. However, why did Shui Mo feel so awkward when he heard the other party say that he was not human? Shui Mo shut his mouth. He's really blind, he can't even tell it's a Qilin. Zhang Yun smiled. Qilin? I've never heard of any Qilin being caught by that old woman, Wu Cheng. The dragon said in surprise. In fact, it couldn't be blamed for its poor eyesight. Normally, unless it was a familiar companion, it was really difficult for them to see through the identity of other beasts in human form. Shui Mo was obviously stronger than the dragon, so it was not hard to understand that the dragon did not expect Shui Mo to be a beast. However, at this moment, Azure didn't like this stupid dragon, so he wanted to find trouble with it. Now that he heard its words, Azure directly said, "Do you think the Qilin clan is as stupid as you three clans? Not only was he tricked by the ripple of fog, but he was also captured. And now you've caused us to waste our divine power to save you, humph. In the future, even if you sell your three clans to us, it won't be enough to compensate for our losses." Tsang's tone was not good at all, and he had offended the three races. However, the White Tiger King had been bullied by Tsang ever since he was freed. Therefore, he didn't dare to refute Tsang's bold words. Feng Wu only felt a little embarrassed, but he also felt that Tsang was right, they were indeed stupid. In addition, it had also guessed that this little white cat must have a deep relationship with its owner, so it was also very observant. Only a certain dragon was immediately angered by Azure's words and pointed at Azure Fire, shouting, "I don't even know when the cat race became so bold. Since you're not afraid of me, then do you dare to fight me one-on-one?" Hearing that a certain dragon was going to fight it one-on-one, Leng Ruoxue and the rest mourned for it for 3 seconds out of sympathy. This was definitely the rhythm of seeking death. "You want to fight me one-on-one? Acknowledging my girl as your master?" Tsang Qing lifted his eyelids and asked calmly. I haven't, The dragon replied in a daze. It had only just seen Leng Ruoxue and was brought here. It had not even thought about recognizing her as its master. Speaking of which, in terms of judgment and self-awareness, the dragon race was definitely not comparable to the Phoenix race and the White Tiger race. As for the Qilin race, they would not be able to catch up even if they tried to flatter them. The dragon race was known for being good for nothing, eating a lot, having a lot of strength, but no brains at all. Of course, the dragon race would never admit to such comments from the outside world. But now, it was clearly proving that the dragon race indeed lived up to its reputation. "Then I'm relieved." Azure nodded. "Don't worry about what?" A certain dragon didn't understand, but Leng Ruoxue and the rest understood in a second. When Tsang said don't worry, he meant that they could beat him up to their heart's content. Azure didn't explain further and directly scratched the dragon's thick skin. In the beginning, the dragon didn't take it seriously. It thought that it was just a kitten, how sharp could its claws be? With this thought in mind, it didn't even try to dodge and just wanted to take the hit with its thick skin. However, with one swipe of his claw, Tsang cut through the dragon's thick skin. The sharp claws pierced into the dragon's flesh, causing the dragon to cry out in pain. At this moment, it deeply realized that it had underestimated the strength of this kitten. In addition to the dragon, the other members of the dragon and phoenix races who had been rescued were also shocked. In comparison, the White Tiger race, who had already witnessed the fearsomeness of the Azure Sea, were much calmer. The White Tiger King was especially happy to have a beast to keep it company. Hee hee. This old earthworm has finally tasted the power of that terrifying kitten. He deserved it. While the White Tiger King was gloating in his heart, the dragon that was attacked by the Azure Dragon was in an extremely miserable state. It really regretted provoking this cat. He had wanted to fight with the other party one-on-one, thinking that he could show off the might of the Dragon Emperor. Who knew that he would be taken care of by a cat? This time, he had lost a lot of face. The dragon cried out in pain and was secretly worried. It jumped up and down to avoid Song's attacks, but Song was extremely agile. No matter how the dragon dodged, it could only scratch the other party. This fact made the dragon feel depressed. In fact, it would have been fine if they were evenly matched, but the key was that the battle was one-sided. The dragon could only be scratched passively without any chance to fight back. How could it not be depressed? It wasn't until a certain dragon's body was covered in wounds and a terrible sight that Song stopped with satisfaction. A certain dragon, who was greatly stimulated, sadly burrowed into a corner and drew circles, wanting to curse that there would be no fish to eat in the blue. You bastard! I don't eat fish. Aware of a certain dragon's thoughts, Azure Fire roared, if I want to eat, I'll only eat what Nyo makes. Does he like to eat rats? After hearing this, the dragon asked seriously. I like to eat dragons. Azure said through gritted teeth. Upon hearing this, all the Long Quans present were so frightened that their faces turned pale. They immediately hid far away to avoid being targeted by Tsang. Seeing this scene, Leng Ruoxue was helpless. She hugged Tsang and coaxed, all right, Azure, don't scare them. Humph. For Nyo's sake, I'll let you off for now. I'll remember this. I'll be your boss in the future. Tsang said fiercely. He had to first confirm his position so that these guys wouldn't be confused about the situation. I'm the one. At this moment, a weak voice was heard and a small head popped out of Shui Mo's arms. And you are? Tsang coldly glanced at him and the little black head was so scared that it went back into Shui Mo's arms. Shui Mo smiled helplessly. The beast deity was like a mouse seeing a cat when he saw Senior Tsang. He didn't know what to say. Baby, so you're here with Shui Mo. I thought you left with Ice Spirit. Leng Ruoxue exclaimed in surprise when she saw the little black beast. She didn't know why her baby was always avoiding it. It was really not easy to see her. What Leng Ruoxue didn't know was that Bao Bao wasn't hiding from her, but under Tsang's threat, Bao Bao didn't dare to appear in front of her easily. When she saw Leng Ruoxue, baby Su's aggrieved eyes immediately welled up with tears. She looked at Leng Ruoxue pitifully and called out softly, Sister, I missed you so much. Previous chapter. Sister also misses the baby. Leng Ruoxue laughed as she reached out to hug baby. However, baby saw Tsang glaring at him from Leng Ruoxue's arms, so he could only purse his lips and avoid her. Woo. Can't I enjoy my sister's warm embrace anymore? Baby Sue was unusually sad, but Leng Ruoxue didn't understand why. She thought that baby Sue didn't like her anymore, and her heart started to hurt as well. The atmosphere suddenly froze. The low pressure from Leng Ruoxue's body caused the beasts around her to feel a great deal of pressure. At this time, Feng Wu, who had been wanting to speak, gathered up her courage and said excitedly, Boss, I finally get to see you. Little Wu. The baby called out softly and returned to Shui Mo's arms. Seeing it like this, Feng Wu was very surprised. It looked at Tsang in its master's arms and stretched out its wings to take the baby into its arms. Boss, Wu. A certain dragon also looked at the baby while crying bitterly. The two beasts communicated silently with their eyes, and everything was conveyed without words. Now, the dragon could feel the fear of its boss. This cat was definitely not a normal cat. Which cat wouldn't be afraid when it saw the king of the four king divine beasts? Besides, their boss was a beast god, but their boss's natural suppression of the beast race had no effect on the cat. What did this mean? It meant that the cat was no ordinary beastie. In any case, it would be very, very difficult to make it believe that the cat's bloodline was above boss. It had to be said that at this moment, the dragon knew the truth. Unfortunately, it realized it too late, and it only realized it after being beaten up by Tsang. If it had thought of this earlier, it might not have been beaten up. As for now, the beating would definitely be in vain. However, seeing that its boss was as obedient as a little mouse in front of that cat, it instantly decided to stay far away from this cat in the future. After the three teams had gathered, in order to make it easier for Leng Ruoxue and the other two, as well as the beasts from the three clans who had been suppressed for many years, to recuperate, they temporarily stayed in the city lord's residence in the city of Wasteland. Other than reuniting with their clansmen, a certain dragon also took this time to secretly ask Uncle Long about Tsang's identity. Seeing that the dragon had pulled him to a corner just to find out Tsang's identity, Uncle Long stared at the dragon for a long time. When he was about to see its fur, Uncle Long said calmly, Senior Tsang is the spirit of the god-protecting pagoda, so you'd better be obedient. Otherwise, Senior Tsang won't care if you're the Dragon Emperor or not and will beat you up without hesitation. The spirit of the god-protecting tower? Is it the one I know? The dragon asked carefully. Could there be a second god-protecting pagoda in this world? Uncle Long blinked and laughed to himself. It seemed that this old dragon was quite frightened by Senior Tsang. Probably not. It's really that? The dragon still couldn't believe this fact and asked with certainty. Yes. Otherwise, why would the beast god baby not even dare to make a sound in front of Senior Tsang? Isn't that enough proof? Uncle Long asked with a smile. That's enough to prove it. A certain kind of gloominess said. He really felt that he had been deceived. It turned out that the cat was not a real cat. Wu, why did he pretend to be a weak little beast to deceive the public? He even tricked me into fighting the cat one-on-one. In the end, I'm covered in wounds and I don't even have a chance to fight back. How embarrassing. It was too embarrassing. The dragon's regret increased even more, and his heart couldn't be any angrier. Since you believe me, do you want me to tell you how to protect yourself in front of Senior Tsang in the future? Uncle Long coaxed. Use. Hurry up and tell me. The dragon quickly said. First, be good. Second, don't go against Senior Tsang's wishes. Third, which is also the most important one, you must listen to Shui. Uncle Long counted his fingers as he spoke. Why do you listen to Shui? The dragon was puzzled. Even if it had recognized a master, it felt that it should have dragon rights. What's more, it had not recognized a master yet. Because Shui is Senior Tsang's master. Senior Tsang is the most obedient to Shui. Uncle Long said with a smile. Arg. Really? The dragon was shocked. Back then, even Master Yu failed to make the Guardian Tower spirit recognize him as its master. He didn't expect Leng Ruoxue to actually do it. How could I lie to you about that? By the way, you still don't know that Shui is Master Yu's disciple, right? Uncle Long threw out another bombshell, which directly made a certain dragon dizzy and shake its head repeatedly. It didn't know. I just heard. So, quickly recognize me as your master. With Shui as your backing, Senior Tsang will definitely show you mercy when he beats you up. Uncle Long suggested with a smile. Of course, it would recognize its master, but if that was the purpose of recognizing its master, why did the dragon feel that the reason for recognizing its master was particularly awkward? Shouldn't it be because Leng Ruoxue had saved their clan that they recognized her as their master? It could accept the reason that the other party was Master Yu's disciple, but this. It was somewhat unable to accept it. But it couldn't deny that this reason was very attractive to it. The main thing was that it could also tell that the cat didn't like it. Seeing that the dragon was still hesitating, Uncle Long patted him on the shoulder and said, think about it carefully. There's no time to lose. You know, Senior Tsang has a very bad temper. Who knows when he'll flip out again. After saying this, Uncle Long left gracefully, leaving a certain dragon in a daze. After a while, the dragon came back to its senses and quickly told its people what it had heard. Then, it went to find the Phoenix King and the White Tiger King. When it saw the two Beast Kings, it quickly told them what Uncle Long had told it. After Feng Wu heard this, she smiled and said, our Phoenix clan has already recognized a master. What? When did this happen? How come we didn't know about it? A certain dragon and the White Tiger King were both enraged upon hearing this. Feng Wu was actually acting alone, and this really hurt their hearts. Sob. They were allies. How could they be treated like this? Back then, when they had just been locked up, they could still communicate with each other. At that time, the old psychic of the Phoenix clan had clearly told them that they would definitely be rescued and that the person who saved them would be their future master. At that time, the two Beast Kings did not take his words too seriously. They only thought that he was comforting them. After all, Fog Ice was so powerful that it could even kill a divine master. Who else was more powerful than a divine master? However, after they were rescued, they were a little dumbfounded. Because the ones who saved their two races were a little baby and a cat, the matter of recognizing their masters was delayed. After a certain dragon found out that the little boy and Leng Ruoxue were together, he had the intention of acknowledging Leng Ruoxue as his master. However, at that time, Leng Ruoxue was in a hurry to go to another place, so the acknowledgement process was delayed. As for the White Tiger King, it was beaten up by Tsang before it could even speak to Shui Mo. Therefore, its mind was in a mess at that time and it didn't even think about it. Now that Feng Wu said that it had already recognized its master, the two Beast Kings were dumbfounded. A feeling of being abandoned slowly rose from the bottom of their hearts. The two Beast Kings felt that their fragile glass hearts had been completely hurt. His resentful eyes followed Feng Wu's gaze, making Feng Wu feel uncomfortable. After clearing his throat, Feng Wu said in a depressed manner, why are you guys looking at me like that? When Master recuperates, you can recognize him as your master. In fact, it didn't want to get rid of these two guys when it recognized him as its master, but it just happened to be a coincidence, and these two guys obviously didn't have such a good opportunity. However, it did not feel guilty at all. Who asked these two guys to be so blind, just coming out and going against cold first? Who could he blame? We can only wait for Master to rest. The two Beast Kings were helpless and could only wait calmly. At the same time, he could also get to know more about the people around his future master. However, after understanding the identity and strength of the people around Leng Ruoxue, they sadly realized that they were noobs when they were around their master. The dragon did not expect that the little boy it saw back then was actually a cosmic Bengal. Although Green Vessel's appearance was not quite the same as the one it had seen many years ago, it believed that no one would dare to pretend to be that Bengal. Otherwise, it would have been captured by the Rime-Ice old woman long ago. As for the identity of the demonic man who had been protecting their future master, they had also found out that he was the mistress of the Dark World. Wu. The Lord of the Netherworld prison who was as famous as Lord Yu, but more cold-blooded, heartless, ruthless, and brutal than Lord Yu. Sob, this identity is so scary. However, was the person they saw really the mistress of the Dark World? Why was it different from the rumors? Didn't they say that the Dark Lord was cold-blooded? Who was that guy who was smiling like an idiot in front of his future master? Didn't they say that the mistress of the dark world was heartless and ruthless? But how could that person be heartless at all? Was it brutal? Of course, this was mainly reflected in the fact that as long as they had the slightest intention of getting close to their future master, that person would immediately give them a warning look. All in all, the mistress of the dark world was seriously inconsistent with the one in the rumors. The Dark Lord. Who ate your integrity? Don't take over the future master all by yourself. The demon's food protection caused the two old beasts, who wanted to get close to Leng Ruoxue and please their future master, to be deeply worried. After trying a few times, the two old beasts had no choice but to give up. It seemed that he could only wait for his master to recover first. While Leng Ruoxue, Qingju, and Song were trying their best to recover, the beasts from the three clans who had been imprisoned for a long time were also trying their best to recover. However, it was not something that could be done in a short period of time. After all, they had been imprisoned for so many years, and the beasts from the three clans had suffered great losses. Hence, it would take a long time. Originally, if Green Vessel was willing to move them into the bracelet, it would definitely be of great help to their recovery. However, Green Vessel was too arrogant and resented them for causing him to return to the poverty line right after he recovered his strength. Therefore, he was angry and directly refused to accept them. If she wanted to get into the bracelet, she would have to wait until they recovered. Just like that, Leng Ruoxue and the rest stayed in the city lord's residence in the city of abandoned ruins for a few months. After the three of them had recovered, Qingju was merciful and moved the three beasts into the bracelet. Of course, before they were moved into the bracelet, the orcs from the dragon race and the white tiger race, who had finally gotten a chance to get close to their future masters, unhesitatingly acknowledged them as their masters. At the same time, they had to be wary of the secret mistress's attack. After settling the matters in the city of abandoned ruins, Leng Ruoxue and the rest returned home. To their surprise, before they could return to Demon City, they received a message from Leng Ruohan and the others, saying that they were about to be robbed. Upon hearing that someone dared to raid Demon City, the team immediately rushed toward their destination joyfully. At this moment, Leng Ruohan and the others were stopped in the middle of a road less than 10,000 meters away from Demon City. Although this road was not the only way to Demon City, there were usually a lot of people on it. However, there were only a few of them on the wide road, so it seemed rather deserted. Looking at the man in black opposite him, Cheng Wu raised his brows. He purposely put on a fearful expression and asked, "Are you guys trying to rob me?" "That's right." The leader of the men in black nodded. However, they didn't rob him of his wealth or his body. They robbed him of his people. "We have no money," Cheng Wu said as he clutched his storage ring nervously. The corner of the leader's mouth twitched a few times, and his heart was in turmoil. "If you don't have money, why are you holding onto your storage ring? Wasn't this clearly showing that he had nothing to hide?" "We don't rob." The man in black gritted his teeth and explained. However, Cheng Wu was even more worried after hearing that. He howled and scared the men in black. "What are you howling for? For whom are you howling?" The leader of the men in black said. "Wu. Are you guys trying to rape me?" Cheng Wu clutched at his shirt and was so scared that his entire body was trembling and his face was pale. "We don't rape. Even if he wanted to rape someone, he wouldn't rape you." The leader of the men in black was a little mad when he heard Wan Wu's words. On the other hand, Leng Ruohan, Leng Qingtian, and the others who were at the side were laughing in their hearts when they heard this. "That's hard to say." Cheng Wu had a look of disbelief. "Don't worry. I definitely won't rape her." The leader of the black-robed men was so angry that he shouted. "You're really not going to rob?" Cheng Wu asked cautiously. "I won't." The leader of the men in black guaranteed. "Since that's the case, we'll be leaving. You don't have to send us off." After he finished speaking, Cheng Wu gave Leng Ruohan and the others a look. Everyone had the same thought and decided to leave. "Wait. Who allowed you to leave? Didn't you hear me say I'm going to rob you?" When the leader of the black-robed men saw that the other party was really leaving, he was immediately dumbfounded. After he came to his senses, he immediately blocked Cheng Wu and the others and roared. "You guys are not robbing us of money or sex, so there's nothing to rob. If we don't leave, are we going to stay and chat with you?" Cheng Wu said matter-of-factly. "We're going to kidnap him." The leader of the men in black roared again after hearing Cheng Wu's words. "You don't even want to rape her, and you want to rape her?" Cheng Wu was unable to understand. "Right." The leader of the men in black nodded. "Give me a reason." Cheng Wu said with a, "I won't leave with you if you don't give me a reason." "No reason." The leader of the men in black roared and couldn't help but curse in his heart. Did the Divine Master's estate need a reason to arrest someone? If it wasn't for his lord's increasing need for human blood, they wouldn't have wanted to wait for a rabbit on the road. But the rabbit in front of them was obviously not easy to manipulate. Of course, the leader of the men in black did not dare to reveal his identity. Otherwise, the Divine Master's estate would become the public enemy of the Divine Realm. However, just because he didn't say anything, it didn't mean that Cheng Wu and the others didn't recognize their standard. Other than that old woman, Wu Yan, no one else could train such a stupid subordinate of the man in black. "That we will leave with you. Are you trying to kidnap a silly boy?" Cheng Wu's expression immediately changed when he heard that. "Humph. Brat, you have to leave, no matter what." The leader of the men in black saw that the other party was disobedient and could only threaten him. In his eyes, these few people were so weak that it would be as easy as stepping on a few ants to kill them. Therefore, he did not take Leng Ruohan and the others seriously at all. He would never have thought that they had hidden their strength and were pretending to be weak to eat the tiger. Yo! Did he become angry out of embarrassment and threaten her? Young master, old master, someone is trying to rob us, what should we do? After Feng De finished speaking to the man in black, he turned around to seek Leng Ruoxue and Leng Qingtian's opinion. Who knew that Leng Ruoxue didn't even raise her head? Leng Qingtian also looked up at the sky with a nonchalant expression. Seeing them like this, Cheng Wu didn't say anything either, and the atmosphere became cold. Seeing this, the leader of the men in black was furious. He turned around and shouted, "Capture these ants." The men in black immediately took action. One of the men in black was sent flying the moment he got close to Cheng Wu. It's so lively. At this moment, a melodious female voice entered the ears of everyone present. All the black-clothed people turned their heads in unison, and then all of them were like stone statues, stiff and motionless. The men in black were wailing in their hearts. Oh. They were finished. I'm finished. How did he meet this demon? There was no one in black who did not recognize Leng Ruoxue. Furthermore, in their hearts, Leng Ruoxue's scariness was comparable to their master. No. He's even more terrifying than his lord. At the very least, his lord would not easily take their lives, but Leng Ruoxue would. The man in black, who had never expected to meet Leng Ruoxue here, was so depressed that his heart broke. Miss, they want to rob us. They want to rob people. The moment Cheng Wu saw Leng Ruoxue, he immediately complained. You dare to rob my people? Does that fog ripple bitch want to start a war right now? Leng Ruoxue turned to ask the leader of the men in black. Your people. They're your people? When the leader of the men in black heard Leng Ruoxue's words, he finally reacted and asked in disbelief. Then, he specially added, Young lady Leng, you've got the wrong person. We're not God Lord Fogripple's men. The leader of the men in black was filled with regret. How did it end up in Leng Ruoxue's hands? He was really unlucky. At the same time, he began to regret his decision to kidnap her on this road. He knew that Demon City was very close to here, yet he still harbored hopes of getting away with it. Great, now he had run into the 10,000-year dark iron plate. That's right. Let me introduce them to you. They are my grandfather, brother, and subordinates. As for whether you admit to being a member of Rime Ice or not, that's not important to me. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. That's right, Shui, just directly crack it. Uncle Long nodded in agreement. When the men in black heard this, their faces turned pale with fear. Leng Ruoxue even smiled in an extremely friendly manner. Don't worry, I won't kill you so easily. However, don't think that I'll let you go. By the way, do you want to test my medicine or die from torture? Choose one. Is there a third choice? The leader of the men in black asked carefully. What do you think? Leng Ruoxue asked instead of answering. The man in black was silent. He was extremely unwilling in his heart. Was he going to just surrender like this? From the corner of his eye, he swept his gaze across Leng Ruoxue's group. He saw Uncle Long rubbing his palms together, Dong Fang Yu with a faint smile, the snow-white cat with its sharp claws, a cute little boy who was also staring at him with an unfriendly expression, and the countless beasts who were eager to try. On his side, more than half of the dozens of men in black were like frost-beaten eggplants, shriveled up like dehydrated vegetables. Let's not talk about combat power, just the difference in numbers alone made the leader of the men in black not know how to continue this fight with the other party. Wu, this is too much of a bully. I choose to test the medicine. The leader of the men in black surrendered helplessly when he saw the difference in strength between the two sides. In his opinion, at least he wouldn't die from the test. It was better than dying from torture. Unfortunately, he was wrong. Wrong. He only wanted to live. How could he know that testing medicine was the real thing that made life worse than death? However, Leng Ruoxue was rather satisfied with his choice. A wise man knows how to practice, and surrendering was the right choice. It just so happened that a while ago, Luyue, Shenhua, and Jiang Ning had been complaining to her that there was no one to test the medicine on, and as a result, Wu Yan had just sent them over. Young Miss is getting more and more domineering. With just one move, these guys surrendered. After deciding on the man in black's fate, Cheng Wu immediately flattered him. When Leng Ruoxue heard this, she felt a little speechless. She thought to herself, this isn't my credit, it's the advantage of numbers that helped me. After easily settling the small dispute, Leng Ruoxue and the rest brought the men in black who had surrendered and returned to Demon City in a grandiose manner. This news was quickly reported to Wu Yan. After knowing that her subordinate had been caught by Leng Ruoxue, Ripple Mist was furious. She glared at the leader of the men in black who was in charge of this matter and shouted, how did you arrange their work? You know that it's so close to Demon City, yet you still dare to let them catch you there? Master, that road leads to several major cities. The flow of people is very large, so it's the best place to catch people. This time, they were unlucky to have bumped into Leng Ruoxue and the others. The leader explained. However, Wu Jing didn't care about that. What she needed the most now was blood, a large amount of blood. She knew that Leng Ruoxue was becoming more and more of a threat to her, and she didn't have much time left. Hence, she was in a hurry to recover her strength. Don't capture them on the road. Just capture the people from the major families. After thinking for a while, Wu Xiao ordered. The leader of the men in black heard this and quickly tried to stop him. Master, if we do this, we will cause public anger. What was it that they had not dared to make any big moves all this time? Isn't it to maintain the positive image of his lord? If they really captured the people from the big families, then they really couldn't hide anything. Those who submit to me will prosper, and those who resist me will perish. Now, it's time for those crafty major forces to make a choice. Fog Ripple laughed coldly. Now that things had come to this, there was no way she would leave those forces to Leng Ruoxue. That was why she wanted her subordinates to capture all of them. Those who submitted to her would naturally be able to live, and those who resisted would become her food. This was a win-win solution, so why not? Wu Xian was very satisfied with her own idea. This was a time when she needed people. Although the reverent god-level cultivators under her were getting fewer and fewer, if she had the help of the other major forces, she believed that her chances of winning the life-and-death battle with Leng Ruoxue would be much higher. However, she knew that the biggest variable on Leng Ruoxue's side was Tsang and the mistress of the dark world. However, what she was most worried about was Azure. After all, Azure belonged to the divine realm. If Azure didn't care and insisted on attacking, even the laws of the world wouldn't be able to restrain it. She wasn't afraid of the mistress of the dark world. After all, the mistress of the dark world belonged to the Nine Nether prison. She believed that the other party wouldn't risk the collapse of the space and stick his nose into other people's business. Otherwise, she would have a bigger headache. Previous chapter. Next chapter. How could he make Azure not act? Wu Jing's head was spinning, but she couldn't think of a good way. The leader of the men in black, who had received her order, saw that her lord had made up her mind and could only carry it out. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue had already returned to Demon City. After handing over the group of men in black to Jiang Ning and the other two, she went back into the bracelet and started cultivating. Even though her body had almost fully recovered, the spiritual energy in her body was still insufficient. In order to deal with Wu Ling, the spiritual energy in her body had to be abundant. Hence, Leng Ruoxue did not want to waste any more time. Just like Wu Ling's premonition, she was also clear that it would not be long before the two of them would truly fight. Leng Ruoxue was absorbing spirit chi in her bracelet while Uncle Long and the others were busy preparing for the battle. First of all, they had to properly arrange for the personnel below the God Emperor rank in Demon City. They didn't wish for any accidents to happen to them while they were preparing for battle. After all, that shameless fellow, Rhyme, was capable of doing anything. After some discussion, Uncle Long and the others decided on a house as the best place to settle them down. After the owner of the house, a certain Grass, found out about this, he was very unwilling. The main thing was that he did not want a group of strangers to live in his territory. It was so inconvenient. However, after Uncle Long told him that this was Shui-er's idea, the Grass immediately agreed with a charming smile. Uncle Long was helpless after the incident. Fortunately, the Grass listened to Shui-er. Otherwise, he really didn't know what to do. Secondly, in order to prevent the Fog Ripple from having something to threaten them with, they had to send people to bring over the people from the Armament Masters Guild and Alchemist Guild. Of course, the forces that were on good terms with them had to be informed. As for whether they would come or not, that was the other party's business. After these matters were discussed, everyone split up. Uncle Long, Dongfang Yu, Mu Li, as well as Kank's Armament Guild headquarters and Alchemy Guild headquarters, were responsible for receiving people. Dongfang Lin was responsible for sending messages to the various forces. When the other forces heard that there would be a big operation, their hearts trembled. They knew what the other party meant without saying it. However, none of them had expected this news to come so suddenly. However, after receiving the news, they quickly took action. Although Demon City had only given them 100 slots, it was still better than nothing. At the very least, if something were to happen in the future, these 100 people would be enough to pass down the bloodline of their families. It could be said that the factions that were on good terms with Demon City knew their own limitations. None of them had the thought that the other party had to ensure the safety of their entire family. After all, that was too unrealistic. The other party wasn't their parents, so why should they control their entire family? It was a favor that the other party was willing to inform them before the operation, not an obligation. Most importantly, they had a good relationship with Demon City, so they considered benefits in Demon City's strength more than anything else. Moreover, the difference in strength between them and Demon City prevented them from having any unrealistic thoughts. In short, they were very grateful for Demon City's favor. After all, they had been informed before the operation. As for how to ensure that they would not be affected, that was their own problem. In less than half a month, Uncle Long and the others, who had gone to the Blacksmiths Guild and Alchemists Guild, returned after completing their tasks. Soon after, the forces that were on good terms with them made full use of the quota given to them by Demon City and brought people to seek refuge. Before coming to Demon City, the representatives of the various factions had been told to behave themselves. Hence, after settling down in Demon City, they were all extremely obedient. The families of these people had also begun to evacuate in secret. For a time, the divine realm appeared calm on the surface, but in reality, it was already turbulent in private with many unstable factors. The men in black started with the smallest and most unremarkable factions. By the time the large and medium-sized factions realized that something was wrong, it was already too late. On a certain day, Zhang Zheng was lying in the garden and basking in the sun out of boredom. Suddenly, he frowned and disappeared from the garden. When Uncle Long and the others saw this, their faces were full of question marks. However, Senior Tsang had always been carefree, so they felt at ease after thinking about it. After Azure left the garden, he immediately appeared in the God Pagoda. At this moment, the god-protecting tower was being madly attacked by the fog. Tsang appeared outside the tower and asked with a frown, "Little Ripple bitch, are you crazy?" It didn't expect that the old woman would come to its door instead of looking for trouble with it. It was really strange. Just as it thought this, Azure immediately felt that something was wrong. It then saw the smug-looking fog phoenix stop attacking and disappear. Realizing that he might have been fooled, Tsang Danu wanted to chase after Fog Phoenix, but he suddenly found that he was trapped. It knew nothing about the formation, and after a series of random attacks, the formation had no flaws. At this time, Wu Cheng's proud and arrogant laughter came to its ears, ha ha ha. Tsang, don't waste your energy. How could I possibly let you escape after setting it up for so long? You should just stay inside. After I'm done with Leng Ruoxue, I'll deal with you. You want to take care of my girl? Dream on. Tsang scoffed and then shouted, "Old B****, let me out, or you'll definitely regret it." Oh, really? I'd like to see how you're going to make me regret this. Wu Xiao provoked. Old bitch. You asked for this. Azure was completely enraged. He extended his small claw and a huge red flower appeared in it. It was the blood cherry blossom. At this moment, the flower was almost dried up. The entire flower leaf drooped down, and the petals drooped listlessly. As soon as she saw Azure, blood cherry blossom trembled. At this moment, Fog Nightmare, who had already returned to the God Lord's estate and was using her mind to sense Azure's condition in the spell formation, shouted, "Tsang, what do you want to do? Let me out, or I'll tear it apart." Tsang threatened. "Don't you dare. You." Ripple Mist was shocked and furious, and she tried to summon the blood cherry blossom. However, no matter what she did, she was unable to contact the blood cherry blossom. It was as if there were thousands of mountains and rivers between her and the blood cherry blossom, and she was unable to reach the end. Damn it. It was obvious that Tsang was behind this. Fog was filled with hatred. The anger in his heart rose even more. Let Tsang out? That was impossible. It wasn't easy to trick Tsang into her formation. If she let it go just like that, wouldn't all her efforts be in vain? However, her blood cherry blossom clone was in the hands of the other party. For a moment, Fog's conflicted heart clenched. Could it be that he would always be controlled by Tsang? Mist Ripple was unwilling to accept this. Just as Wu Xiao was feeling vexed, Tsang, who couldn't wait any longer, had already begun to destroy the flower. As she felt the pain of the blood cherry blossom, Mist Ripple's heart was bleeding. Wu. Lord Tsang, please spare me. I didn't do anything wrong. The blood cherry blossom whose petals were torn by Azure in the array cried and begged. Tsang sneered, "You didn't do anything wrong, but you shouldn't be that old woman's clone." After saying that, Azure's movements became much faster, and blood cherry blossom's cries of pain grew louder and louder. In the blink of an eye, the petals of the blood cherry blossom were all torn off by Azure, leaving only a bare pistil. A pair of teary blood-red eyes appeared in the center of the flower, looking pitifully at Azure. Unfortunately, Azure was a heartless person. He naturally wouldn't have any soft-hearted thoughts about the blood cherry blossoms. Seeing that Fog didn't compromise, Cold One didn't give up and used his sharp claws to destroy the pistil. The blood cherry blossom didn't even have the chance to beg for mercy. In an instant, the pistil exploded and turned into powder that fell to the ground. Ah! Arg! Wu Xian, who was in the Divine Master's estate, cried out in pain and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. How detestable! While she was hesitating, Tsang, that damn guy, had already made his move. The mist was so regretful. Although she had long known that Tsang was a hot-tempered person, she had never expected that the other party would not be willing to wait for even a moment. If it was in the past, the two of them would at least be able to bargain, but this time, she had miscalculated. His plan had been completely disrupted by Tsang. Originally, Rhyme had planned to find Leng Ruoxue to make the first move after trapping Tsang so as not to waste the great opportunity to trap Tsang. However, she didn't expect that Tsang wouldn't follow the script at all and directly destroyed one of her clones, causing her plan to fail completely. The last powerful clone was destroyed by Azure. This was a serious blow to Fog's strength. However, in this case, she would not let Azure out. He also didn't allow anyone to save Tsang. After making up her mind, Wu Jing decided to continue setting up the spell formation. This time, her target was Demon City. Her clone was destroyed, causing her to lose a lot of strength. She naturally had to do her best to delay time so that she could make up for her strength as soon as possible. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue and the rest were still unaware that Tsang was trapped. Tsang was isolated within the array and could not contact anyone. After half a year, the spiritual energy in Leng Ruoxue's body finally became more abundant. She was also fully confident and prepared to fight to the death with the Mist Ripple. However, she only heard that Tsang had gone missing after the bracelet. How did Tsang go missing? Leng Ruoxue was astonished. Senior Tsang left half a year ago and hasn't returned. Uncle Long said carefully. It should be in trouble. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. No way. With Senior Azure's strength, even Fog Ice might not be a match for him. Uncle Long said in disbelief, but he didn't continue. It wasn't that he didn't want to suspect Wu Xiao, but he felt that that old woman wouldn't be so muddle-headed as to directly fight with Senior Tsang. That wouldn't do her any good. Of course, I won't fight Tsang directly, but I can use a formation to trap Tsang. If I'm not wrong, Tsang should be trapped by her formation. Leng Ruoxue said. Let's quickly go save Senior Tsang. Hearing this, Uncle Long immediately became a little anxious. In addition, he also felt a little guilty. Senior Azure had been gone for half a year. At first, he didn't take it seriously, but later on, he noticed that something was wrong. However, at that time, Senior Azure had already been missing for nearly half a year. Regretfully, even though he knew that Senior Tsang had gone missing, the people he sent out were unable to find him. As such, he didn't know how to explain this to Xue. It was a good thing that Xue did not blame him, or else he would have died of guilt. None of you need to go out. Suddenly, Wu Ling's voice rang in Leng Ruoxue and the rest's ears. Then, they felt an endless pressure engulfing their hearts, causing their bodies and hearts to feel heavy. What did you do? Leng Ruoxue said calmly. After half a year, the god-binding formation I gave you has finally succeeded. Ripple Mist replied with pride. It was the god-binding formation again. Leng Ruoxue thought to herself, looks like this old woman is using the god-binding formation as her trump card. However, that formation is indeed very useful. He just didn't know to what extent Wu Yan had done this time. Even though Leng Ruoxue had such thoughts in her heart, her expression did not change. She asked, Azure is also trapped by you? Not bad. Originally, I didn't intend to use the great divine binding array against you people. Unfortunately, that hateful Tsang has angered me. So, if you want to blame someone, blame him. Wu Yan's voice was filled with the smell of gunpowder. After she finished speaking, her voice disappeared. Xue, what do we do now? Uncle Long and the others didn't look too good. On one hand, they were worried. On the other hand, they could faintly feel their life force disappearing bit by bit uncontrollably. This should be the power of the god-binding formation. Let's go check on the others. Those who are weak, enter the space. Leng Ruoxue also felt that the situation was not good. After surveying the area, she helplessly realized that other than the hierarch experts who could barely withstand the aftereffects of the god-binding array, the deities below the hierarch rank would not be able to withstand it. Without any hesitation, she immediately moved everyone into the bracelet. At this moment, the dragons, phoenixes, and white tigers who were cultivating in the bracelet immediately stopped their cultivation when they noticed the abnormality. After understanding the situation, they were all rather terrified. It wasn't easy for them to get out of the god-binding array, so why were they locked up again? Master, isn't Demon City your territory? How did Wu Xian find a way to set up the great god-binding formation here? Feng Wu asked in confusion. He had once been harmed by the god-binding great array, and it could be said that he had a deep hatred for this great array. That woman is crazy. She actually set up the god-binding array outside the entire Demon City, and the array I used a trace of her soul. So, the power of the god-binding array outside the Demon City is even greater than the one you were trapped in. Leng Ruoxue explained. Leng Ruoxue had not expected that the fog ripple would do something so crazy. However, she was clear that in order to set up such a large-scale soul-binding array, she would have to pay a considerable price. Whether it was the crystal stones or the strand of soul that the fog ripple had given up, they were all one-time consumables that could not be retrieved again. Apart from trapping them, one of Wu Xian's purposes for setting up this great formation was probably to obtain life force from them. However, it was obvious that she had miscalculated. With green vessels heaven-defying space, how could Leng Ruoxue let Wu Xian's plot succeed? After consoling the frightened beasts for a while, Leng Ruoxue brought the evildoer away from the bracelet. After some thought, she moved Uncle Long and the others in. Although Grandpa and brother were not very willing to go in, they also understood that if they stayed by Xue's side at this time, they would not be helping her, but adding to her troubles. In Xue's words, the life force they had lost outside would only benefit Wu Jing. Previous chapter. Next chapter. After sending everyone in, only Leng Ruoxue and the demon were left in the huge Leng family residence. The demon was very happy. It was the mist ripple that gave him and Xue the chance to be alone. So, if he had the chance, he would definitely thank that woman properly. Who knew that just as this thought formed in their minds, a little boy would appear beside them with a face that looked like he was asking for a beating. He then pounced into Leng Ruoxue's arms. Instantly, the demon was so angry that he almost choked. What are you doing out here? Be careful not to have your life force sucked away by the god-binding formation. The demon threatened. TSK. I know formations, and I can help Big Sister break the formation. So, I'm here to help. Qing Ju said calmly, not taking the demon's words seriously at all. Help? Did you help? The demon scoffed at Qing Ju's words. Sister, have I ever made things worse? Qing Ju ignored the demon and asked Leng Ruoxue directly. Ugh. Leng Ruoxue was in a difficult position. Green Vessel was indeed very helpful, but if she really said that, she was afraid that the demon would be angry. You guys continue chatting, I'll go check on the array. With that, Leng Ruoxue threw Green Vessel into the demon's arms and slipped away. You've fallen into my hands, right? TSK. A vile person has achieved success. Whatever you say, you're in my hands now. Then, Green Vessel turned his face away and ignored the evildoer. The evil man laughed as he carried Green Vessel with one hand and chased after Leng Ruoxue. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue was standing at the highest point of the mountain peak, looking at the array formation that covered the sky above Demon City. Even she was slightly impressed by Wu Zhao's crazy actions. The manpower and material resources consumed by such a huge array were unimaginable, but Wu Yan had done it. Similarly, the larger the array, the longer it would take to break it. From the looks of it, Ripple Mist was trying to stall for time. Leng Ruoxue's head was starting to hurt. She already knew Wu Cheng's intentions and sinister intentions. This mist ripple formation could be said to be killing many birds with one stone. He was stalling for time. She was giving her trouble. He would reduce the strength of her side and collect some life force for himself. Leng Ruoxue was very clear that if she were to dispel this formation, she would run out of spiritual energy again. Once Wu Xian's strategy of stalling for time succeeded, she would definitely be no match for her and fall right into Wu Xian's trap. If they didn't release the God-binding array, they would be trapped forever. Slowly, they would end up like the Phoenix race, Dragon race, and White Tiger race, waiting for their life force to be exhausted and die. No matter which outcome it wasn't what Leng Ruoxue wanted. To Wu Wan, the loss of breaking the array was not small. However, she was betting that Leng Ruoxue would not be able to break the God-binding array that she had set up with her divine soul. It could be said that this was a battle without smoke. It was impossible to predict who would win or lose. After all, there were too many unexpected things about formations. But the worst result was that both sides would suffer. When the demon found Leng Ruoxue, he saw her frowning as she sat on a smooth boulder at the peak of the mountain. She was in a daze as she looked at the looming array in the sky. After he sat down beside Leng Ruoxue, he did not say anything and only pulled Xue into his embrace to accompany her. After a long time, Leng Ruoxue smiled and said, "Demon, from tomorrow onwards, I'm going to start removing this God-binding array. I would also like to know who's better in terms of formations, me or that wastrel. It's definitely my Xue." The demon didn't even think and directly said. Leng Ruoxue chuckled when she heard this. The evildoer really trusted her unconditionally. She was very happy. Elder sister, although the formation of that old woman, Wu Yan, was taught by the old master, I also believe that elder sister will definitely win. However, he could only think about it in his heart. After all, the person he was complaining about was the previous master he had acknowledged. The two of you have so much confidence in me, it's giving me a lot of pressure. Xue, pressure is also a form of motivation. Good luck. I will always protect you. Sister, I can help. I won't make things worse. Please believe me. Qing Ju expressed his feelings once again. Leng Ruoxue touched Qing Ju's cute little face and nodded. I know, green vessel is the best. With Leng Ruoxue's praise, Qing Ju's proud little tail was about to rise up. He even gave the evildoer a threatening look. The next day, Leng Ruoxue and Qing Ju started to break the formation. On Wu Yan's side, most of the people from the major forces had been captured and all of them were locked up in her domain. After he stopped paying attention to Leng Ruoxue's situation, Wu Chen returned to her domain. Within her domain, many people were tied up by vines and suspended in midair. In a blood pool not far away, there were 3 small blood cherry blossoms that had yet to grow. Every day, these 3 palm-sized blood cherry blossoms needed to feed on the blood of a human to satisfy their growth needs. The reason why Wu Yan had kept them alive was naturally to scare them. Standing by the blood pool, Ripple gently raised her beautiful eyes and gave a look to the black-clothed man's subordinates. Have you all thought it through? Whether you want to be loyal to me or become food for my blood Sakura clone, it's up to you. Wu Han, as the master of the divine realm, how can you treat us like this? Then how do you want me to treat you? By the way, I haven't caught the patriarchs of the 8 divine regions yet. You don't need to make a choice for now. When we capture your family head, we'll let you make a choice together. You want to capture our family head? Dream on. Are you dreaming? Then I'll show you. Wu Yan smiled calmly and then changed the topic. I don't understand. Your clan head has already abandoned you, why are you still so loyal to him? The master will never give up on us. He will definitely save us. The Yin family member shouted. Give up. Your master can't save you. The only one who can save you is Leng Ruoxue. However, Leng Ruoxue is also trapped by me now. So, if you're smart, you should know what to do, right? No one said anything, mainly because no one wanted to be the first to stand out. The word betrayal was not pleasant to hear, even if it was only for the sake of survival. You're both unwilling. The timid ones were scared out of their wits. Still not willing to make a choice. Looking at the dumbfounded crowd, Ripple Mist coldly laughed. Then, one by one, they were thrown into the blood pool and became food for the 3 little flowers. Mist Ripple knew when to stop, but for several days in a row, she threw people into the blood pool every day, and soon, a small force disappeared from this world. In a situation where they couldn't even protect themselves, no one had extra sympathy. In fact, some forces couldn't stand it and surrendered very quickly. With a leader, more and more forces chose to join Rimice. Unfortunately, even though they had joined Rimice, the 3 little flowers, who had already tasted the sweetness of it, did not want to let them go. Wu Xiao also indulged in the behavior of her avatar. Why? We've already surrendered, so why are you still treating us like this? Because you are too weak. They're only worthy of being food for my clone. Everyone had mixed feelings when they heard this. With that, Ripple Mist turned and left. When he returned to his main hall, a man in black was already waiting there. Any news? Wu Xian asked directly. Yes, I am. He's in the Ning family's divine realm. The man in black nodded. I'll go and capture them myself. After Wu Xian finished speaking, he had already disappeared. The people she wanted to capture were naturally the family heads of the 8 great divine domains that the man in black couldn't capture. When she reached the Ning family's divine realm, she was discovered as soon as she approached her destination. In an instant, her figure flashed and blocked the path of the few people who were about to escape. Ice Spirit, I didn't expect you to be with them. Ice Spirit was extremely depressed. However, he couldn't understand how something could have happened to Demon City, which was full of talents. I met him by accident. Ice Spirit replied with a calm smile. What a coincidence. Now, all of you, come with me. Why should I go with you? Who do you think you are? The clansmen of your clans are in my hands. If we leave with you, Leng Ruoxue will kill us. Leng Ruoxue can't take care of all of you now. She's already been trapped by me. What did you do to Shui? You want to know? Then come with me. I'll listen to you if you want to tell me, but you want to use this as bait to make me go with you? Humph. Today, you have to leave no matter what. You want to use force? There are at least 7 of us, and you're only yourself. When he said that he wasn't a true master god, he had completely angered Wu Chen. When the others saw this, they also attacked the fog ice. It was indeed difficult for Fog to fight against 7 people alone. However, it was almost impossible for Ice Soul and the others to gain any advantage. The current Rime Ice, other than Tsang and the Dark Lord who couldn't easily make a move, was probably something only Shui could handle. After testing out Wu Zhao's strength, Bingpe, who was unwilling to fight for too long, sent a message to the others. After a round of fierce attacks, the 7 of them split up and teleported in all directions. When Fog Ripple saw this, she almost exploded in anger. As the saying goes, the most dangerous place is also the safest place. The first thing the Ice Spirit did after entering the Ning family's main residence was to open the forbidden area in the back mountain of the Ning family and let out Wuha Ice Phoenix. The first thing the man and beast did when they came out was to ask about Leng Ruoxue's situation. After knowing that she was trapped by the fog ice, they were extremely worried. Don't worry, that little girl will be fine. The 8 humans and 1 beast discussed for a while and decided to hide in the godly mainland. Right now, the most important thing was for them to not fall into the hands of Wu Chen and become her hostage to threaten Leng Ruoxue. Previous chapter. At the same time, Leng Ruoxue and Qing Ju were doing their best to break the god-binding array that Wu Xian had set up outside of Evil Demon City. A year later, the 2 of them only managed to crack 1/3 of the array. In this 1 year, the 2 of them had rested many times. The god-binding array had consumed too much divine power, and they had used up quite a number of top-grade crystals. However, when it was time to spend money, Leng Ruoxue would definitely not be reluctant. Just like that, after 3 years, the 2 of them finally achieved some results. Leng Ruoxue and Qing Ju were excited and they saw the formation above Demon City dimming. After being trapped in the god-binding array for 3 years, they were completely clueless about the situation outside. After Leng Ruoxue specifically instructed the demon, she focused all her energy on dealing with the formation core. This formation's eye was even more powerful than the one that had imprisoned the 3 beasts. After the light from the array eye disappeared, Wu Xian, who was in the god lord's manor, vomited blood and fainted. Leng Ruoxue and Qing Ju were not any better off. With a thought, the 3 of them had already appeared in the bracelet. Uncle Long and the others immediately surrounded them and asked about their well-being. However, now was not the time to complain. After watching Leng Ruoxue and Qing Ju enter the purple bamboo house to rest, Uncle Long and the rest stood guard outside. The next day, after Leng Ruoxue had slightly recovered, she immediately arranged for Shui Mo to help Tsang. The extremely unwilling evildoer was asked by Leng Ruoxue to be a bodyguard. Although the 2 of them were depressed, they didn't dare to delay and immediately headed to the God Guardian Tower. When he reached the God-protecting tower, Shui Mo immediately saw the 6-pointed star array. It was also a god-binding array, but it was smaller. However, it was very powerful. However, what made him quite pleased was that when Wu Yan set up this formation, she did not use her own heart's blood and soul. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would not be able to break it with his strength. A month later, Azure finally regained his freedom. After being imprisoned for so long, the anger in Tsang's heart wasn't ordinary. After thanking Shui Mo, Tsang disappeared. Senior Tsang, where are you in a hurry to go? He went to take revenge. Should we follow them and take a look? No need. Let's go back to Demon City. By the time Azure returned to Demon City, he wouldn't be alone. Other than the seamless gate of the Mission Guild, the 3 Reverend God-level experts of the Divine Master's estate had also been abducted by it. Of course, it couldn't be considered kidnapping, the 3 of them followed Azure back willingly. When Tsang left, he didn't say a word and immediately took action. Seeing this, the 3 hierarch could only follow him to Demon City. When Ripple woke up and heard the report from her injured subordinate, she was so angry that she spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and almost fainted again. She quickly entered her domain and sucked the blood of dozens of people before she felt slightly better. After coming out of the domain, she continued to ask, how many people do we still have? Less than 10,000 people. Less than 10,000. When she had the most subordinates, she had over 100 million subordinates. Moreover, those cannon fodders could be used as food to satisfy her hunger at critical moments, but now? She had basically become the commander of the army. Such a tragic fact made her so depressed that she wanted to scratch the wall. Go and get more people for me. Yes. The leader of the men in black replied. Although he wanted to say that it was not so easy to catch people now, he did not dare to face the anger of his master. He could only carry out the order seriously. 3 months later, the number of missing people in the divine realm had increased rapidly. Compared to the previous time when the various major powers had collectively disappeared, this time, the missing people were basically a few scattered humans. Without exception, they had all become the food of the fog. During this time, he finally managed to contact Uncle Long's Ice Soul. Ice Soul secretly returned to Demon City with Wu, Bing Chan, and the 6 patriarchs from the 8 divine domains. When Uncle Long and the others learned from them that all the major powers of the divine realm had been captured by Rime Ice, they were still shocked even though they had already been mentally prepared. Wu Chen is crazy. Originally, Uncle Long and the others thought that the old woman would find trouble with the forces that were close to them, but they didn't expect that Wu Han would cut the grass to catch the rabbit and not let a single one go. They couldn't understand. Was it necessary to attract hatred like this? This time, they didn't even need to announce Wu Chen's crimes. That B*tch Wu Chen had pushed herself to the opposite side of all the forces, and this was definitely good news for them. Not long after, many of the fish that had escaped from the big forces also came to the evil Demon City to seek shelter. Currently, Demon City was definitely the safest place in the divine realm. A year later, Leng Ruoxue had finally fully recovered her powers. Leng Ruoxue came out of the bangle and saw Uncle Long and the others. She smiled and said, "You've been waiting anxiously." Ha ha ha. Shue, although you were in seclusion, we didn't idle around for the past year. We've basically wiped out all of the rhyme bitch's subordinates. Uncle Long said with a smile. Yes, we've already destroyed the left and right arms of the mist bitch. But even so, that old woman has not shown her face even once. I wonder if she's pretending to be dead. Dongfang Yu added. She's recuperating. Leng Ruoxue said with certainty. During the previous battle, both of them had suffered great losses. During that time, she had used more than a year to recover her spirit chi, while that old woman needed blood. Thus, she didn't need to ask to know that many people had gone missing in the divine realm in the past year. While she was exchanging pleasantries with Uncle Long and the others, Leng Ruoxue used her divine sense to scan the entire Demon City. With a single glance, she actually discovered many unfamiliar faces. There seems to be a lot of strangers. They're all survivors from the major forces, including those? Yes, I am. However, I made them pay the rent. That's good. I don't want to let them have it easy. I definitely won't let them take advantage of me. Don't worry. Uncle Long promised. Leng Ruoxue smiled in satisfaction. It wasn't that she didn't want to show her gratitude, but she had said that no matter what those people took away, they would have to return it in double. She didn't expect that her words would come true so quickly. After that, Leng Ruoxue said impatiently, "Let's go to the Imperial City." Good. To the Imperial City. Everyone was excited. Very quickly, the large group set off in a grand manner. A few days later, Leng Ruoxue and the rest were already standing outside the Imperial City's gates. At this moment, the Imperial City's walls were only half of its original size. However, the words, Imperial City, still hung high up in the middle of the walls. Leng Ruoxue and the others could not help but sigh when they saw the once prosperous Imperial City now in such a state. Is Wu Ling planning to give up? It wasn't Leng Ruoxue's first time in Yu City, and naturally, it wouldn't be her last time either. However, this time, her feelings were very complicated. Senior brother, we can finally avenge master this time. Leng Ruoxue looked at Bing Yao and Qing Yang who were beside her. The two of them nodded, their eyes burning with passion. They had been thinking about their master's revenge for tens of thousands of years. Today, they could finally take revenge. With their hearts filled with excitement, the two of them stood side by side with Leng Ruoxue. The three of them looked at each other and smiled. Then, the group walked into the Imperial City together. It could be said that Demon City had sent out all their forces for this battle to the death. Basically, apart from those who had some relationship with you, all the cultivators, ORCC, Fengde, and the others who were in seclusion had come out. The most important thing was to participate. They were not willing to let such a big event slip by. They still wanted to witness the end of the fog era with their own eyes. He had personally witnessed the rise of Leng Ruoxue's era. Walking on the streets of the Imperial City, Leng Ruoxue looked at the desolate shops on both sides of the street that had long since been left unattended. She felt even more upset. However, this was only temporary. After Rime Ice was destroyed, she would definitely work hard to restore the Imperial City to its former prosperity. After all, this place used to belong to Master. They arrived at the Divine Master's residence. Through the open door, Leng Ruoxue first saw Wu Xian, who was dressed in red, sitting in the courtyard. She seemed to be waiting for them. Behind her stood hundreds of men in black. You're here. Wu Xian's gentle voice rang out. These words were only meant for Leng Ruoxue. The only enemy she had set her mind on was Leng Ruoxue. Were you waiting for me? Leng Ruoxue asked despite knowing the answer. Others don't have the right to make me wait. Wu Yan said with a charming smile. I should feel honored. Should I say that you are in a hurry to die? Leng Ruoxue asked in surprise. You're so confident that you can kill me? Ripple Mist pretended to be calm. In reality, she was very frustrated. She could already tell that Leng Ruoxue's current strength was only higher than hers. However, she was not willing to admit defeat just like that. As a strong person, she had an incomparable pride. Of course, I've never done anything I'm not confident in. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. I like confident enemies. Wu Xian said with a smile. Thank you, I'll do the same. Leng Ruoxue replied. If we weren't enemies, we might have become friends. Wu Xian said with some regret. I'm sorry, but I think the opposite. I don't think we'll be friends even if we're not enemies. Leng Ruoxue said without giving him any face. Why? Could it be that I'm not worthy of being your friend with my status? River Ripple was furious. Those of different paths cannot conspire together. We're not the same. Leng Ruoxue was very honest. Ha ha ha. What a good different paths, different plans. Do you think you're a good person? You're really hypocritical. Wu Xian scoffed at Leng Ruoxue's words. Although I'm not a good person, I'm still far from you. At least, I won't kill the innocent. Leng Ruoxue retorted seriously. I won't kill innocent people. I've only killed those who deserve to be killed. Wu Xiao quibbled. If that's the case, the number of people you said should be killed is really quite a lot. Or have all the major forces offended you? Are they all people who should be killed? Leng Ruoxue was a little curious. It was rare to see this old woman being so shameless. They're just my food. Just like you humans need to hunt for beasts for food, I need to eat blood too. Ripple Mist said matter-of-factly. Shameless, how can you say such words? Dongfang Yu couldn't bear to listen any longer and interrupted before Leng Ruoxue could react. Am I shameless? How much stronger can you humans be than me? How much stronger can the beast race be than me? Everyone was just following the laws of nature and survival of the fittest. So, let's not talk about each other. Laughed Ripple Mist. Shui, don't talk nonsense with her. Just attack. Seeing how shameless Wu Ling was, Dongfang Yu couldn't be bothered to waste any more time with her and spoke to Leng Ruoxue directly. Leng Ruoxue didn't want to waste any more time. She nodded and said, all right. Seeing that Leng Ruoxue was about to make a move without even saying a few words, Ripple Mist was furious. With a change of thought, she moved the people locked in her domain out and pointed at those who had been thrown on the ground. Leng Ruoxue, these people are from the 8 great divine regions. If you attack, I'll kill them immediately. You're using your own food to threaten me? Leng Ruoxue didn't even look at the haggard person on the ground as she laughed. Didn't you hear me clearly? They're from the 8 great divine regions. Wu Xian reminded. So what? Do you think I'll compromise because of them? Stop dreaming. Leng Ruoxue said with a half-smile. Next chapter. Report chapter. The 8 flaming beasts took the opportunity to burn the vines that had missed and continued to play with the fog ice. After a long time, Wu Wan had been tortured by the 8 beasts until she was exhausted. Her body was covered in wounds, and her arm had been bitten off many times. Her healing pills were almost exhausted. It could be said that Wu Wan was at an absolute disadvantage from the beginning of this battle. Could this be the advantage of the chaotic body? Mist Ripple was unwilling. Why didn't she have the chaotic body? She had done so many things and even killed the person she loved the most, yet she had not obtained the chaotic body. She did not manage to obtain the approval of the stupid bracelet and the silly cat, but Leng Ruoxue had easily obtained all of this. Why? Why could Leng Ruoxue do it? She had worked so hard for so long, but she could not get what she wanted. Before she died, Ripple Mist's eyes were filled with unwillingness. She glared at Leng Ruoxue and questioned, why? Which part of you is better than me? Why does the heavens care so much about you? Why do you always get what I can? Tell me the reason. If I don't tell you, will you die with your eyes wide open? Leng Ruoxue asked with a smile. I will. Not only will I not die in peace, even if I become an evil ghost in the 9 nether underworld, I will not let you go. Rhyme howled, so angry that the veins on her forehead were popping out. At this moment, the demon said lightly, my 9 nether prison doesn't welcome you. The demon's stab was really ruthless. Wu Yan was distracted at this life and death moment, and then one of her legs was bitten off by a tiger. Enduring the pain, Wu Yan's eyes were a little unfocused as she said, how could I have forgotten that you're clinging on to the mistress of the dark world? Yup. It's a pity that there's no share for you, so you'd better think about where you can stay. Leng Ruoxue smiled faintly. I'm going to accompany you. Mist Ripple said softly, as if she had thought of something, her beautiful eyes somewhat dazed. Master doesn't want to see you. Leng Ruoxue said coldly. No. He will want to see me. I will. Wu Xian suddenly roared. No, Master told me that the thing he regrets the most in his life is raising an ungrateful wolf. Leng Ruoxue said as she glanced at the Mist Ripple. I'm not an ungrateful person. I'm not. I just want to become stronger too much. Wu Xian retorted madly. You want to become stronger so you have to kill my master? Leng Ruoxue asked. I love him. I love him. Everything I've done is in hopes that he'll stay by my side obediently, but he'd rather die than do so. Why? Why won't he listen to me? Wu Xian asked Leng Ruoxue agitatedly. Because he doesn't love you. Leng Ruoxue said, hitting the nail on the head. No. He loves me. He will love me. Wu Yan said in a self-deceiving manner. If thinking this way will make you feel better, then please do as you please. Leng Ruoxue knew that this woman was beyond saving and was in a state of extreme madness. She didn't want to waste any more words with her. At this moment, as if she had thought of something, she glared at Leng Ruoxue with a fierce and crazy look in her eyes and roared, it's you. You stole you. Give me back you. With that, she charged towards Leng Ruoxue. The cold shadow in Leng Ruoxue's hand drew a perfect arc in the air, and the tip of the sword pierced into Ripple Mist's body. Following that, Ripple Mist fell limply to the ground, taking her last breath. She had died with her eyes wide open. The 8 flaming beasts saw that the fog had already breathed its last and quickly swarmed forward to destroy the corpse. This time, the miasma really disappeared without a trace. After Wu Han's death, Leng Ruoxue naturally became the new lord of the firmament and was acknowledged by the laws of heaven and earth. Her god-lord residence was arranged by Leng Ruoxue to be in Demon City, while the original imperial city still belonged to her master. The surviving forces from the god world also tactfully expressed their loyalty and support to Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue magnanimously forgave some people for their past actions. Then, she brought the evildoer along to fix the rules of heaven and earth. The regulations of the heaven and earth did not manage to escape in time and could only allow Leng Ruoxue to bully them. However, Leng Ruoxue did not go too far. After all, they were going to be colleagues in the future and it was only right for them to care for each other. After being loved by Leng Ruoxue, the laws of heaven and earth were no longer hiding. Instead, they openly appeared around Leng Ruoxue and the others. This made Mu Li suffer. As for the dragon, phoenix, and white tiger, they finally had the time to deal with the traitors of their three races. Leng Ruoxue pulled the evildoer to a secluded place and said with a serious and domineering expression, "Evildoer, marry me." The sudden surprise stunned the demon. After a long time, he finally reacted and asked weakly, "Shouldn't you be the one marrying me?" "Who said that?" "In my territory, you're the one marrying me." "I'll ask you one last time, are you going to marry or not?" "I'll get married." The demon didn't hesitate at all. He had waited for so long and waited for this day with great difficulty. How could he refuse? That's why it wasn't a problem who married who. The most important thing was the title. He had finally obtained the status he had been looking forward to for a long time. Sob. The demon was so touched. After obtaining the approval of the demon, Leng Ruoxue could not wait to share the good news with everyone. When Leng Qingtian and Leng Ruohan heard this, they were not surprised at all and said as a matter of fact, "Xue, you should have given her a status long ago." "That's right." Uncle Long and the others also joined in. "The Dark Lord has waited for a long time." Hearing their words, Leng Ruoxue immediately felt guilty. She looked at the evildoer with her beautiful eyes, full of regret. The evildoer returned Leng Ruoxue a consoling gaze. His heart was already blooming with joy. Joy. Status, you are getting closer and closer to me. However, it wasn't easy to get past Song and Green Vessel. Although the two of them had been mentally prepared for this day, when it really came, they still felt uncomfortable. Such a beautiful and fragrant girl, just like that, belonged to a stinky man. It was truly like a fresh flower stuck in cow dung. Unfortunately, no matter how much they argued, Leng Ruoxue would not change her mind. In the end, the two of them had to stop for the time being. With the help of Uncle Long and the others, the wedding preparations were made rather quickly. However, the demon did not see Xue in the past few days. According to Xue, they had to rush a few sets of formal dresses for the two of them. Hearing Xue's words, the evildoer's heart was filled with anticipation. However, the days without Xue were really hard to bear. However, Xue said that she wanted to give him a surprise, so he could only wait patiently. Sitting in the garden listlessly, the demon counted the days with his fingers. In 3 days, it would be his wedding day. Woo, he was so excited. However, these 3 days were also quite difficult to endure. The demon had definitely experienced what it meant to pass a day like a year. "Hey, evil man. Xue is looking for you." Suddenly, Tsang's voice sounded out from nowhere. Then, a small white cat appeared in the air and looked at the demon with a bitter face. "Where are you?" Although Azure's tone wasn't very good, the demon who was in a good mood wouldn't bother with it. "In the room." Sangxi's words were like gold. The demon went straight to his room after hearing this. Xue was sitting on a chair, and when she saw him, she quickly said, "Evildoer, I have something to tell you." "What did Xue want to tell me?" The demon asked with a tender expression. "What I want to say is, let's cancel the wedding," Leng Ruoxue suddenly said. "What did you just say?" The demon thought he had heard wrong. After a moment of shock, he looked at Xue in disbelief. How could Xue say such words to him? "I said, cancel our wedding. I don't want to marry you," Leng Ruoxue repeated. "Don't marry me? It's fine, because I'm the one marrying you." The evil demon laughed before he rudely grabbed Leng Ruoxue's collar and questioned her with a dark expression. "Who are you? Why did you impersonate Xue?" I'm Leng Ruoxue," Leng Ruoxue said stubbornly. "No. You're not. I thought you were joking with me, but when you said you didn't want to marry me, I was sure you weren't Xue." The demon explained. "Because Xue wanted him to marry." Let me go." Seeing that she had been exposed, the fake Leng Ruoxue started to get nervous. However, the demon would not let her off before he figured out her identity. The fake Leng Ruoxue saw the demon's ferocious look and shouted at the top of her lungs, "Help! Molested!" Upon hearing this voice, almost everyone ran over. Seeing this scene, they were speechless. "What the hell are you two doing?" "We're busy." "She's not Xue." The demon said helplessly. "Not Xue?" Who was she then? How can she be exactly the same as Xue? Even her temperament and aura are the same. How can there be two people in the world that are so similar? Everyone was amazed. They surrounded the fake Leng Ruoxue and discussed for a long time, but they could not see how she was fake. "Ruohan, is this really not your sister?" After they were done looking at the fake Leng Ruoxue, they asked Leng Ruohan. This. Leng Ruohan could not be sure anymore. "Are you still not going to tell the truth? Who are you? How dare you pretend to be my woman? You must be tired of living." After listening to everyone's discussion, the evildoer questioned again, his dark starry eyes were full of warning. You are all bullies. Woo, sister, help." The fake Leng Ruoxue couldn't stand the threat from the evil eyes and started to cry. "Ruohan, she's calling for sister." "Is she calling for Xue?" Dongfang you couldn't help but ask. "I don't know," Leng Ruohan was very honest. "What's wrong?" At this moment, another beautiful woman appeared out of thin air in the room. Seeing another her, she was stunned for a moment, then helplessly shook her head and said, "Qingju, you're so naughty. Why did you change into my appearance? Green vessel? A copy? Everyone was shocked. Qingju had turned into Shue's appearance. This was really unacceptable. Sister. They're bullying me. Woo. The moment Qingju saw Leng Ruoxue, he immediately broke free from the demon's control and threw himself into Leng Ruoxue's arms. Looking at the two stunning beauties embracing each other as if there was no one else around, everyone felt strange no matter how they thought about it. The demon was burning with jealousy. He pulled Shui over and hugged her, then complained, Shui, Qingju has changed into your appearance and said that he wants to cancel the wedding. Everyone was shocked again and gave Green Vessel a look that said, good luck to you. They thought to themselves, kid, you're so bold. He actually dared to tease the mistress of the dark world like this. He was simply courting death. Leng Ruoxue felt a headache coming on as well. Well. She looked at Qingju speechlessly. Qingju silently changed back to his child form and pouted his lips in grievance. I just wanted to test his loyalty to my sister. Bullshit. You're clearly trying to break us up. The demon cursed in anger. If it wasn't for Shui, he would definitely teach this soul bastard a good lesson. However, this little incident that Qingju created did not affect the progress of Leng Ruoxue and the demon's wedding. Furthermore, Leng Ruoxue was clear about Qingju's motive and knew that he must have an accomplice. Otherwise, the innocent Qingju would not have been able to come up with such a strange idea. Of course, it went without saying that the accomplice was Tsang. Fortunately, things did not get out of hand. The evildoer magnanimously forgave Qingju for causing trouble. In fact, if Qingju and Tsang did not pull any tricks before the wedding, he would be the one who would be really worried. On the day of the wedding, Leng Ruoxue was dressed in a snow-white wedding dress, which made her look extremely beautiful and moving. Evildoer was dressed in a silver-gray, well-ironed western suit, which made the noble mistress of the dark world even more handsome and noble. Both of them were well-matched in terms of appearance and temperament. The gowns that they were wearing were specially tailored by Leng Ruoxue. Hence, the moment they appeared, they instantly attracted everyone's attention. The wedding venue was filled with fresh flowers, and the wedding banquet was held in the form of a buffet. When Leng Ruoxue moved the simplified modern wedding procedures to the divine realm, the two of them concluded the marriage contract under the witness of everyone with an extremely solemn soul loyalty oath. Although there was no such thing as marriage in the divine realm, a marriage bound by an oath was obviously more legally binding. From then on, the two souls were dependent on each other and would never leave each other. Their wedding was simple yet grand. After the lively wedding banquet that had lasted for 3 days ended, Uncle Long and the others were planning to make a scene in the nuptial chamber when they realized that the two newly wedded couple had disappeared. Where was he? Uncle Long and the others were extremely disappointed. Tsang and Qingju looked at each other and made a decision at the same time. At this moment, the demon and Leng Ruoxue were in the spatial tunnel, heading towards the unknown. Shui, we've finally gotten rid of those third wheels. We can finally spend some alone time together. There was no green vessel. However, Leng Ruoxue wasn't as cocky as the demon. Based on her understanding of Tsang and Green Vessel, once they knew that they had gone missing, they would definitely come after them. It was only a matter of time before they found them. However, the two of them had just gotten married, and Leng Ruoxue was not willing to say anything that would make the demon depressed. Hence, she was very cooperative and said, yes, let's go for our honeymoon. Then, the two of them stepped out of the space tunnel together. Years later, the God world, which was once riddled with holes due to the battle between Wu Cheng and Leng Ruoxue, slowly recovered its former prosperity. The legends about Leng Ruoxue never stopped. Of course, the most widely spread was not because of her strength or her beauty, but her skills in controlling her husband. It was rumored that the mistress of the dark world would listen to the divine master. It was rumored that the mistress of the dark world was the #1 filial husband in the history of the divine realm. There were many more things like that.